When the lights are out and you stumble in the dark, you kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life is
238. Check 1, 2, 3.
You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just
60 seconds. I have most of my controls. Oh yeah, we did most of it. Ah, crap, I never loaded the camera back for here. Oh, apparently I didn't. Never mind, just kidding. Apparently I've been here since I reloaded my computer. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a thrilling night of virtual racing action here on iRacing. I'm Dave Regal alongside my partner in crime, Mr. Alan Bergen, filling in for Matt Metler here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, and we're excited to bring you all the live coverage from the rolling hills of the Pocono Mountains at the Tricky Triangle. Tonight, the Stacy Strong Cup Series promises to be a showcase of skill, strategy, and sheer speed as some of the best sim racers from around the world go head-to-head in this highly competitive environment. iRacing is where the virtual meets the real, offering an incredibly immersive experience that mirrors the intensity and precision of actual motorsports. The drivers have put in countless hours of practice perfecting every turn and mastering the art of virtual racing. This track is digitally rendered to perfection, capturing every bump, curve, and straightaway, setting the stage for what promises to be an electrifying race. We'll be bringing you all the action from start to finish, including expert analysis, driver interviews, and in-depth commentary on the strategies at play. From daring overtakes to split-second decisions, every moment counts, and we'll be here to guide you through it all, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And Alan, I feel like you and I are starting to work together more and more here in the sim racing world, as it seems that summertime is dragging so many of our co-workers here at Sim Racing Media away. But I'm glad to have you slide in here to the booth. And, of course, I've got Alan Bergen muted here. We'll get him squared away first. And he was just telling you folks that he's glad to be here with us tonight. As let's get that switched right back over here, God forbid. And, Alan, I think they can hear you now.
Good. I just, look, I got to thank you for filling in for me on Tuesday night as the remnants of Barrel came barreling through St. Louis and ended up in my basement. But we got it all squared away now. We're high and dry or low and dry. Either way, we're dry. I'm excited to be here. It's Sunday night, Stacy Strong Cup Series, SNN. And not only that, but I got to do a road course with you. Now we get to be here at the Tricky Triangle in your neck of the woods, Dave.
Yeah, Pocono Raceway is absolutely right here in my backyard, about an hour and 15, well, about an hour and 20 minutes from the front door here, just outside the city of brotherly love. A short drive up I-476, also known as the Pennsylvania Turnpike Northeast Extension. And I'll tell you what, man, it's always exciting when you get to go past the Tricky Triangle out there on the roadway, of course, just behind the grandstand here. Just one grandstand, so not really great for seating, up there, but the camping here, from what I understand, is absolutely phenomenal. I'll tell you what else is phenomenal right now. Our point standings have really taken a turn here over the last couple of weeks. Let's take a peek at this right now. Sean Rogers, literally the top four, they've all stayed the same. Sean Rogers, Nolan Hodgson, Bobby Anderson, and Chris Davis. They all stay the same. But Matt Long, after another dominating performance last week at the Chicago Street Course, and you know what? I cannot get enough of what happened there. I mean, Matt Long out of Atlanta, Georgia, brings home the checkered flag in surprising fashion at the Chicago Street Course. And we usually don't have, usually those are one of those races that you just kind of get yourself in line for. But, Matt Long really put on a show and got it done up in the Windy City. So he climbs 2 points with now his third win on the season after being a kind of a bridesmaid for a very long time. Neil Pearson with 4 wins on the season. He stays in 6th position, while Matt DiCiani, who has been absent from our ranks, has been consistently falling 1 to 2 spots a week and now sits back in 7th position. Big mover of the week last week in his debut race, Matthew Miles, climbs up into 54th position. I know that seems, kind of far out, but Matt Miles catches himself a top 5 finish there, so that'll help him nuzzle his way up into the point standings as we get a little further here. Of course, the playoffs still a long way off, but that round of 16 looms in September.
Yeah, so every point's gonna matter here on out. You can't afford the mistakes to if you want to secure your spot in that playoffs, that coveted playoff spot. So you got to be smart, you got to race hard, and you got to qualify well. Every point matters. Every stage point matters. Every point matters from here on out.
Qualifying just about wrapped up here. Speaking of points, it looks like Bennett Allen's going to go fast time. A couple of drivers now. We've got about 43 here. In fact, 37, 8, 9, 41, 2. Sorry, 42 drivers here tonight. So there may be a couple that don't make it because of the charter system here in SNN. So we'll see how that works out. But right now, John Wilco, who this is definitely a home track for him, only about 25 minutes away from his front door in McAdoo, Pennsylvania. He didn't lay down a qualifying time. Neither did Bobby Anderson, Alex Princeton, Chris Claude, Steve Herring, or Ken Ron. So we're about to see how all of this is going to shake out as now qualifying has completed. Let's take a look at that while we go through the warm-up segment here of our evening. As looks like Bennett Allen does go fast time with a 54.6 second lap around this place. And I mean, you think to yourself, at Talladega and Daytona, you're running about 53 second laps alone. That's not going to be the case here. I mean, here at the Tricky Triangle, things don't always they don't always appear as they seem, if that makes any sense. Of course, from down under, Neil Pearson going to start on the outside of row number 1. Nolan Hodgson going to be starting in the inside of row 2. And Mikey Mac McConville from down there in Cape May, New Jersey, he's going to be starting in 4th. As we look through here, Kavaja Holt, of course, I talk about him every week, and it feels like every week I'm talking about him, something bad happens, so I don't really want to jinx him yet again, as you and I have this weird habit, Alan, of accidentally jinxing the drivers.
Jinxing the drivers, we got to be good at something, right? We're not good at driving, and we're decent at talking. Might as well be good at jinxing the drivers. And like I always say, you know, some of these drivers either want to be consistently good or consistently bad. So,
I mean, decent at driving is a stretch for me, that's for sure. But decent at talking, you're going to speak for yourself there, because as far as I'm concerned, I am the voice of Sunday Night NASCAR and all that we do. And I'll tell you what, I am so glad that this league is here, because without these guys, I wouldn't even be involved in iRacing. It's been a long number of years here, and what is going on with the paints? Let's see if we can get that fixed up. My goodness. Sorry about that, folks. Take a look back here at Alexander Gangler and Latricious Hope, number 8. Maybe it was just a bad paint scheme from somebody. Matty Long, of course, he picks up the win last week. Now we see Mike McConville in the Steve Park look-alike car. And, you know, McConville, week after week, impresses me with what he does on the racetrack. And, I mean, you know, he and all of those guys from JRTCR just do a phenomenal job, and I'm always glad to be able to drop in with him. In fact, let's see if, with about 2.5 minutes left, let's see if I can get a hold of Mikey Mac. Let's see here. Mikey Mac, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir. How we doing?
Buddy, listen, here we are at the Tricky Triangle, not too far of a drive from you down there in Cape May. But how are you feeling tonight there in the JAR-TCR number 1 Steve Park throwback?
We're feeling pretty good. We're just here to have some fun, get some seat time for tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be a big night. I mean, you know, of course, you guys have been dominant all year long, and your team has been dominant all year long in the Xfinity Series. Take us through that, and what's going to be the strategy for all of you guys moving forward now, you know, the remainder of the season?
Big thing is keep the dominance going, man. Whether it's Parker, me, Nick, Ethan, you know, we plan to lock out the top 5, and if we have enough cars in a certain week to lock out the top 10, that's the whole goal.
My man, pots and pans. All right, brother. Well, listen, how does that Cup car feel tonight, and what's going to be the strategy here amongst these stages?
Being that this race is a lot longer than what I'm used to, I just want to survive to the final stage, and then we'll see how things lay out. Maybe we'll throw some strategy in there, try to scam a win tonight.
Listen, that's how all you guys from South Jersey operate. Let's see if we can just scam our way through it. All right, brother.
We're known for best.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I'm glad to see you back in the cockpit tonight, and we will see you later this evening.
Yes, sir. Hopefully in victory lane.
That, of course, the voice of Mikey Mac McConville out of Cape May, New Jersey, driving the old number 1. That's a Steve Park throwback from the DEI days, and I'll tell you what, Alan, that just feels right.
It does. I mean, any Pennzoil car from back in the Steve Park days and the DEI days gets me right in the feels.
Dalton Mobley here in the Deuce, trailing just behind Tanner Marty in the TJM 29. And I'll tell you what, Tanner Marty is one of those drivers that I'm just waiting for him to finally break through the bull crap, if that makes sense. I mean, it seems like he gets tied up with something every week. And I know he's got the speed. I know he's got the skill as he gets a run here down the backstretch just in front of the Deuce. And now we can see the 78 Cabela's machine. Now, Cabela's, of course, has a location about an hour and 5 minutes west of the racetrack here over in Hamburg, Pennsylvania. So, obviously, Cody McCorkle here driving the 78. Giving a little shout out here to Cabela's, a little local. I'll tell you what, when Cabela's opened here, you would have thought that Jesus himself came back.
You're not wrong. But little does everybody know that Cabela's and Bass Pro are now the same entity.
Well, we don't have a Bass Pro Shops, but when Cabela's opened, it was a thing. I mean, like, it was front page news all across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania as we're here getting ourselves loaded in. And I'll tell you what, I mean, the development that they did around Cabela's and everything here, which is just outside of Reading, where Cabela's is. They literally built it in the middle of a cornfield, and it was almost like if you build it, they will come, and come they do to Cabela's. But let's take a look at the starting lineup while we get ready to rock and roll. Bennett Allen going to roll off here on our pole position. He'll be joined on the outside by Neil Pearson out of Perth, Australia. Nolan Hodgson out of Lamar's, Iowa, takes the inside of row number 2 alongside Cape May, New Jersey's Mike McConville. Tyler Hunter out of Canton, Ohio, the home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, gets the 69 started on the inside of row number 3, while Matt Long, the home of Coca-Cola, starts on the outside of row 3. Sean Rogers from Kalamazoo, Michigan, is featured in row 4 alongside Brunswick, Maine's Tane Hodison, while Dalton Mobley and Paul Hill round out your top 10. Ron Fitting from Sumter, South Carolina, is joined by Cody McCorkle in row 6, while row 7 is going to be anchored by Ryan Samuelson from Westminster, Maryland, and Richard Pruitt from Sanford, North Carolina. Chris Davis here in the 74 rolls off in 15th position with Chad Sanner on the outside of row number 8, with Rich Jett and Kavaja Holt out of Waynesboro going to be in row 9. Eric Papineau and Michael Witt going to be in row 10, rounding out your starting top 20. While Del Rio's Timothy Cook going to be in row number 11 alongside John Crow Sr. Tanner Marty in row 12 alongside Larry Miles from British Columbia as Diego Rodriguez and Chris Custer going to be rolling off in row 13. Mark Johnston and Anthony Savignano roll out onto the field in row 14, while Seba Cornez and Matt Mackin are going to hold things down in row 15. Brian Tarnowski back on the racetrack tonight, going to be starting in 31st on the inside of row 16 alongside of Keith Long from Gaithersburg, Maryland. Andrew Deemer and Bobby Anderson out of Mansfield, they are going to be in row 17, while Alex Princeton going to be starting in 35th. 36 goes to Steve Herring. John Wilco out of McAdoo, Pennsylvania, local boy, going to be here in 37th, and starting shotgun on the field tonight, going to be Ken Ron out of Dillsburg, Pennsylvania. So 38 drivers scheduled to take the green flag tonight, 160 laps the total scheduled distance. And as the iRacing.com pace car brings us out of turn 3, the only thing that's left to do is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab some popcorn, call a friend, settle in. Race fans, it's show time! Drivers getting themselves underway here on lap number 1. We'll talk about the stage breaks in a moment, but Neil Pearson and Bennett Allen duking it out here for leading that first lap right as we get underway. You'll have to forgive the camera work tonight. There's no stream deck, so it's going to be a little difficult for yours truly here in the broadcast booth, but Neil Pearson now leading us down the Long Pond stretch into turn 2, the tunnel turn.
Down through the tunnel turn, Neil Pearson, Bennett Allen side by side. Here comes Mike McConville trying to get in there, get in the mix. And, Dave, I got to say something there for, drivers that are here, that call Pennsylvania home in the field. They're going to drive extra hard tonight and try to be out front as much as they can for that hometown crowd.
Yeah, there's a lot of local guys here. I've said this before, and there's a mysterious Pennsylvania contingent that exists in the Stacy Strong Cup Series. I mean, and I'll even throw Mikey Mack in there because he's a Phillies fan and from South Jersey, South Jersey is like Philadelphia's shoreline. And so Mikey Mack, I'm gonna adopt him as our fellow Pennsylvanian, even though that he's not from here per se. But we can see Mikey Mack trying to close in here on Bennett Allen, and right now he's got a rearview mirror full of Matt Long, and to this point, you might as well not get yourself too crazy here as we work our way down the backstretch. We take a look at Tane Hodison in the 93. He is just ahead of Ryan Samuelson in the 81, and Samuelson getting ready to try to hold off the 78 of Cody McCorkle, who works the low side of Chris Davis.
Yeah, and, the best thing I like watching when you guys come down that front straightaway, you're definitely going to have to use the draft to get, and then they got to squeeze down like a funnel into turn 1. And the years have passed when the cars were in here. They say, are you shifting? Are you not shifting? Well, guess what? We're shifting all 3 corners of the racetrack.
That's a good catch right there. 3 corners, not 4 here at the Tricky Triangle. Of course, each of these turns very much independent of itself. They all drive differently, which makes these drivers really have to get their elbows up and get through these turns. I mean, turn 1 is kind of modeled after Michigan/Indianapolis. Turn 2 is the tunnel turn, and that's just a little flatter. And turn 3 is almost totally flat coming back here onto the front stretch. And the other thing that you're going to see, and we'll see if we can maybe catch this out of Tanner Marty, drivers are not going to be as willing to get up against that wall. You can see how Marty's kind of moving down into that second line. Here at Pocono, for some reason, the closer you get to that wall on the front stretch, not the back stretch so much, but the front stretch, it almost acts like a parachute behind your car.
Yeah, and also, you know, the other thing I want to point out too is you're really going to have to drive smart here and, you know, be situationally aware of the people around you. You know, this is like a road course type like track, if you will. You know, so and also when they put the setup strips, what you gain down in turn 1 might not be what you lose in turn 3.
That's accurate. A lot of these drivers still coming up to speed. I know Nolan Hodgson just laid a 54.62 down for the fast lap of the race. I'm looking at it, looks like Paul Hill, Tyler Hutter, and Dalton Mobley all coming up to speed, laying their fast times down for the time being. 55.32 back here for Chris Custer in the 66. And I mean, you know, all things considered, that's not a bad time. And if you can make that 55.36 consistent, you can do a lot of moving forward here at this racetrack. As we look down here at that black 66 of Chris Custer, of course, he's just behind the 60. What in the world is that? That's not the 60, that's the 09. That's why it was looking strange to me. Just over top of the 09, that's Timothy Cook here in the Red Bull machine. Of course, if I look at it from the right direction, it looks like an 09. The other way looks like a 60.
Well, here he comes down the front road. You know, and it used to be back in the day, you'd see these guys fan out 2, 3, 4 wide even, and then funnel down to turn number 1. But with the current Cup car, you don't really see that. And, you know, honestly, Dave, back in the old days, you know, I say the old days, like, you know, 2004 back in the day, they were almost using sequential shifters as they would almost power shift in the different turns.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, they had a clutch, but they wouldn't use it. They would actually do this on RPMs and let that next gear suck itself in. As wow, bump drafting into 3 is the 90 of Anthony Savignano, just behind the 95 of John Crow Sr. And as they come out of 3, they almost go side by side, but then, of course, Savignano tucks himself back in. Let's take a look here at this battle as we go above here and widen things out down the front stretch. Savignano pulling away from Crow, and Crow says, you go ahead, you take that, as that's probably going to cook some of Savignano's tire off. Of course, tonight here we've got 3 stages of racing, 160 total laps. Stage 1 going to end at the conclusion of lap number 30. Stage 2 going to end at the conclusion of lap number 95. And drivers are going to have 7 total sets of tires. So they're going to lay 6, start 7. And that's going to make things interesting here. Of course, you know, with those sets of tires, it's going to make the pit window change drastically compared to what you would think it should be. As we take a quick look here, that should be somewhere, if they want to use all 7 sets of tires, it's about 22 laps for the pit window. Of course, you know, stage breaks are going to change that. Possible cautions are going to change that. But right now, things being pretty clean as we work lap number 8 of 160. Side by side goes Bennett Allen and Matt Long.
Yeah, we're on board here with Bennett Allen. He is, you know, riding behind that number 58 car of Neil Pearson, but Matt Long stood outside, just outside of your frame, and these guys definitely have to be careful as, you know, Matt Long does a little weeble wobble, and looks like Bennett Allen's losing positions.
Yeah, he's losing positions wholesale as now he's going to be fighting off Paul Hill as they make contact coming out of 3. And here's the thing. We've seen this many times this year. Bennett Allen, when you start to take positions from him wholesale, suddenly gets a chrome horn out and shoves it on the front of that Ford. And all of a sudden it's a Ford battering ram instead of a Dark Horse Mustang.
The Ford Bull.
They have one of those. It's called a Bronco.
Well, okay.
Nolan Hodgson, though, just ahead. There we are. As we look out from the rear, he's going to be holding off Bennett Allen as Bennett looks to the inside. Now, Nolan drifted up just a little bit there coming out of turn 2, so he's not trying to cook those tires as heavy as maybe Bennett Allen was. And the thing is, if you stay just a little bit higher, you're not going to chew those tires up as much. But, you know, Mike McConville, he's back here just kind of lurking, and I'm afraid that he may be just a little too close right now as we ride on his nose. He may almost be too close where, you know, if something bad happens between Bennett Allen and Nolan Hodgson, Mike McConville may be an accidental casualty as he now draws in, getting a run on turn 1's entrance and rolling out here down the Long Pond stretch.
Yeah, and so that's the other thing you got to be conscious of is how far back do you want to stay from these guys to maybe Ryan Samuelson goes off the track.
We're going to take a run back here and see what happened with Samuelson. It looks like maybe he had a connection issue, and he did, because he blinked out for a very long time and then all of a sudden reappeared with no front end, as I can't even find where he blinked out at.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's never a good thing. Of course, we're coming to you live tonight from just outside the city of Brotherly Love with a brand new ISP. We're now part of the Verizon family. As we see Tony Rodriguez here in the YouTube.com live chat saying good luck, Diego. And, of course, as always, Amanda Price cheering on Sean Rogers in the 44. And let's see where Sean is tonight. As right now, Sean running in 3rd position just behind Matt Long and Neil Pearson. And I feel like we call these 3 names almost all the time consistently together.
I almost didn't know I could recognize the paint on Sean Rogers' car. I'm used to that white and green beast mode paint, and now he's blue and silver.
And under caution we go for the first time tonight as John Crow Sr. registering as having crashed. Let's see what happened with him. Here's John Crow Sr. in the 95 just underneath Seba Cornez. And Seba,
oh,
wow. I don't even know where to begin with this one. We're going to take a look perhaps from the blimp cam. We'll start with the drone first, but first I got to find where Seba just disappeared to because, my God.
DQ land.
Nah, a little early for that. But it almost looks like Seba just intentionally turned left down into the 95. We're going to go high above here from the chopper cam over top of Seba Cornez and see if we can't maybe see what happened here. Looks like Crow had him by the left rear quarter panel, and as he got a run on him, Seba just cocked that wheel. We'll see if we can find it from the gyro cam. Nope, that's not going to work. Can't see his hands in that one. We'll see if we can check it maybe from the helmet cam here of Seba Cornez. This will give us a pretty good one. Seba might have been loose coming out of 2, tried to correct it, overcorrected, and right into John Crow's door.
I would concur.
So first caution of the night, a couple of drivers coming down pit road. Mike McConville, Rich Jett, Ron Fitting, Diego Rodriguez, of course Seba Cornez, Keith Long, Matt Mack and Brian Tarnowski and Ken Run out of Dillsburg, Pennsylvania, representing the 717. Of course, here we are in the rolling hills of the Pocono Mountains in the 570. And if you ask where Pocono Raceway is, and I told you the middle of nowhere, I'm not even being sarcastic. If you drove down the road that we happen to be sitting on right now in the broadcast booth, you might drive past Pocono Raceway without noticing it was there. Interesting fact, though, totally solar powered. There's a solar farm right across the road that feeds the racetrack.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting neighborhood up here. In fact, I encourage everybody to take a peek at Google Maps and see where things are at Pocono Raceway. You know, quite frankly, you know, I say the middle of nowhere, and that's just because, I mean, I've been there, done that, but I mean, out here on Route 115, which is, you know, the main road that drives past here, it's the only thing in the area. You know, there's a couple of golf courses and whatnot and some camps, but otherwise, if you need to go to the grocery store, forget about it.
What about the local Amish establishment?
Nope. There's a farmer's market down the road that's usually for tourists. And believe me, as somebody who lived in Jim Thorpe about, 25 minutes away, I hated tourist season.
So on Apple Maps, I have it on Apple Maps, Dave. And it looks like, if you're going down I-80, there, get off there at the Cloverleaf and you head west.
There's a Burger King with a clean bathroom right at the exit on I-80.
And then you make a left on the Long Pond Road and there it is. But it is literally in the middle of nowhere.
I don't make this stuff up.
And
I couldn't make this stuff up.
And it's 13 hours away from St. Louis.
Yeah, it's a short trip. I'll see you Tuesday. Neil Pearson going to bring us back to green as the iRacing.com pace car lights are out. Matt Long and Sean Rogers going to join him. As right now your top five as they run, Pearson, Long, Rogers, Hill, and Hodgson, which I feel like these five are always up in and around the top 10, top five, as the Southwell number 98 out of Perth, Australia, comes here into turn 3. Correction, turn 2, I can count good. That's Pennsylvania math. Of course, speaking of Pennsylvania, we were in the news for not so good reasons yesterday. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Trump family as former President Donald Trump was grazed. It's just a flesh wound, but grazed by a bullet in an assassination attempt about 6 hours west of here in Butler, PA. And what a scary moment. I could not imagine being in the stands and, you hear the pop, pop, pop. You know what? While I'm thinking of this, as awful as it may be, can we talk about the way that we describe gunshots being made sound, making sound? The gunshots rang out. Rang out? I didn't see anybody with a tri-corner hat and a bell.
Well, right now,
rang out. How about the gunshots cracked through the air?
Well, right now, Neil Pearson from Down Under in Perth, South Australia, rang out of turn number 1 like he was shot out of a cannon. And now he's got Matt Long right behind him.
Pearson leading by just less than 0.2 of a second ahead of Matt Long. And, speaking of shots, I guess if you're shot out of a cannon, is it not rang out, but like gonged out? Because it's a really big thing. Look, I just have a real problem with the term rang out. And furthermore, because of how important this event was, we've heard, all I see at the bottom third of the screen, they call that the bottom third, the little banner. In fact, we have it right here. This is called the bottom third when we pull up somebody's driver information. But when you see that little banner on any of the 3 major cable news networks, it's shots rang out. No, stop with the ringing. All I'm thinking is Quasimodo up there pulling the ripcord,
You know what my favorite St. Louis game is? Gunshot or fireworks.
Oh, we play that here in Norristown. On the 4th of July, it's a real crapshoot. But you know, and not to get completely off topic from the races, of course, we're watching Kavaja Holt just about a 10th of a second over Cody McCorkle right now. You know, not to get completely off topic, but wow, McCorkle just slides right in here behind Kavaja now. As Kavaja is trying to get around Tyler Hunter in the 69. What a battle for 10th position and 9th position. As Kavaja now swapping paint here with Tyler Hunter on lap number 17. We're just past halfway in stage number 1 here. Dave Regal and Alan Bergen with you here in the Tony Trapassa Memorial Broadcast booth just outside the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And, you know, one of the things that I think about is there you are in the stands, and people talked about that, you know, with the Trump incident yesterday. Were they fireworks? How? And oh, we thought maybe somebody snuck fireworks in. You can't sneak a stick of gum into a presidential rally. I was at the White House back in 2008. And 2008. And this was at a time, you know, still a few years removed from 9/11. Security was uber high, but, you know, there were certain rules that you had to follow. I literally could not carry a phone into the White House. You couldn't take pictures of your trip to the White House. I could show up with my driver's license and my DC Metro Pass. And thank God I'm smart enough to have exact change for the DC Metro Pass. That was it. So after our tour to the White House, we had to go back to my cousin's, which is up in Georgetown, to go get our things, to go back about our day in D.C., which happened to be a Reds Nationals game. By the way, the Reds beat the Nationals. Tyler Hunter in the 69, working just ahead of Chris Davis in the 74, and a battle is a brewing back here. All of a sudden, Kavaja Holt got himself single file. We're just behind him. Take a look at Anthony Savignano, bleeding spots after crawling up 14. Now runs in 15th position. He climbed up really well earlier on here, and as I had mentioned earlier, I was afraid that he might be cooking the tires too hard, and now he's starting to slide backwards once again.
Yeah, you got to take care of the tires. You got to drive sensible and take care of the tires. But, you know, we got 12 laps or 11 laps to go here in the stage as we work our way towards lap 30. So you might be able to push the tires just a little bit harder. And I don't think anybody used that first set underneath that last caution that they're going to save them for the stage breaks.
Yeah, probably a smart call there. I mean, you know, the thing is, if you're going to take 4 tires, it takes just about the same amount of time to get a full tank of fuel than it does 4 tires. Maybe a tenth or maybe 2/10 of a second difference as well. Bobby Anderson loses a goose coming out of 3 and back down the front stretch. He's really struggling after climbing up 15 positions after starting 35th and now runs in 20th.
I got to tell you, though, if you're a Cardinals or a Phillies fan tonight, or this weekend was not your weekend, as both teams avoided the sweep, but my Cardinals lost 2 out of the 4, and your Phillies lost 2 out of the 3.
Yeah, from Father Frank Marchese, San Diego Padres radio engineer extraordinaire, and our former teammate here at Sim Racing Media. He texts me and says, "How are you, the best team in baseball, going to get double digits dropped on you twice by Oakland?" You got dropped 18 on you by a team that's 37-61. And you know what? Going into the All-Star break, that's probably not a great feeling. And I got to be honest, you can't win them all. You can't win all 162. Nobody's ever done it. But my God, what an embarrassment to lose to Oakland.
Double digits. Let's see. It was 18-3 today.
I mean, I have no defense to that. None whatsoever.
Now, my beloved Cardinals did lose 8-3 today. They ended up sweeping the games yesterday.
What is this? We go under caution, and I don't know who that is upside down, but it can't be good. That might be Sanner. It is. Oh, my.
He went for a ride.
A ride? He went for a roll in the hay. Here's Chad Sanner riding just behind the 24. He looks to the inside. Oh, he gets nicked from behind.
There he goes. Oh. Anybody got some good headache powder they can loan him?
Listen, if he doesn't have any headache powder, I'll drive it up there for him. Here he is, Savignano working just behind him. Savignano looks to the inside. Oh, gets a crazy run and then double doinks him. And when he doinked into the wall the second time, that's what caused the dynamite to go boom. As we're going to ride along right here on the nose of the 90.
That is going to unfortunately end Chad Sanner's day.
I'd be shocked to see him run another lap. Oh, my goodness. We're going to look at that one more time as our camera operator decided that he wanted to go to the back while it was time to turn. We see Savignano set up to the inside, bumps him, and then Savignano gets nosed and just has nothing to do but watch as Sanner just goes rolling. You can see that piece of bumper just bouncing through the air.
I mean, at that point, there's nothing you can do. You're just along for the ride.
That's a true story, and here we are on lap number 22. Now, the question becomes, and there's the answer. Which one of these drivers is going to try to flip the stick? Oh, they got me. They got me.
You would have went in. You would have went in.
Oh, I would have
went down pit road.
I would have had to get, yeah, I would have been all the way.
And then Dave Regal would have been madder than the keeper else getting.
Oh, I would have been
here.
var mad. Var mad. Under our second caution of the evening, we're going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media. We'll be right back with the conclusion of stage number 3.
1.
Stage 1. Thank you.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Welcome back to Long Pond, Pennsylvania at Pocono Raceway. Dave Regal and Alan Bergen with you here in the Tony Trapassa Memorial Broadcast booth. We want to thank everybody for tuning in this evening. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, we're glad to have you with us. As Dcash Video saying hello. That, of course, is Alexander Gangler, driver the number 8, and Dogs Er Gur 8 saying Go 66, Chris Custer. We'll check in on them in just a moment. As, of course, also up here in the Pocono Mountains, you can tune into 105.5 WMGH every morning and hear yours truly on the newscast. And, of course, if you're not here in the Pocono Mountains, you can also download the 105.5 WMGH app on the Apple App Store or Google Play Store, wherever you may get your apps. And you can check us out on WMGH.com. And that's how you shamelessly give yourself a point.
I love it.
Now, we were talking a moment ago about the A's, beating the Phillies. And, the A's make their return to Philadelphia. They don't play very often here, and I can check my media guide and see what the Phillies' record is against the Athletics since interleague play became a thing. But you got to remember that the A's once upon a time called Philadelphia home from 1901 to 1955. And, of course, in 1955, they moved to Kansas. They were the Kansas City A's, and then in '68 they moved to Oakland. So I'm curious. I'm curious. How many people are still alive that remember the A's being in Philadelphia playing at Shibe Park? There can't be many, and none of them have their original haircut. As Matt Long takes the green flag and jumps out ahead of Neil Pearson and Nolan Hodgson here on lap number 25. It'll be 5 laps to go in stage 1 this time by. As we work here in the Stacy Strong Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series, this is the place to be in prime time on a Sunday night. Some of you might want to watch football, but that's not for a couple more months. As wow, pandemonium breaking out here. That looks somewhere in and around Tanner Marty as he is now slinking back through the field.
Yeah, Tanner Marty just went for a ride.
He did. Let's see what happened. As Tanner Marty gets hit from behind and sent down to the infield, wow. Look at him holding on for dear life, and I believe we are going to be under caution momentarily here. And oh, Lord Almighty!
Pile up on I-80.
Yeah, there's definitely a cleanup in aisle 115. Let's see what happened as we look here from Michael Witt's perspective first. We see the field coming down the backstretch.
Whoa!
Hey!
Yay.
There's going to be a lot of hurt feelings.
And a ton of bent sheet metal.
If you say so. Let's take a look again, maybe from above. This is looking from Richard Pruitt in the 24.
Whoa!
Dalton Mobley gets turned. Richard Pruitt kind of gets a piece of it as they come into turn 2. Let's see if we can find this maybe from the turn 2 cam. This might be worthwhile. Can I get it to move? And one more time, we'll take a look at this. Well, you can always check out Burnville Auto Parts down on Route 183 in Burnville, PA. I think that's still a thing. I haven't lived there in 15 years. As Matt Long going to deke me again. Oh, wait. No. Damn it, guys. You know what that's like? You know how you can tell that there's a running back that's about to really gain some yardage in the NFL? No. This is a real thing. You can always tell when, first of all, you have a really skilled running back in the NFL and when he's about to break for more than 10 yards. When the camera guy doesn't realize that it's a play action. Or doesn't realize that it's some kind of a handoff. Like a play-action play when the quarterback is about to just drop back and hurl one down the field, and sometimes to the running back. It's when the camera guy follows the running back and then all of a sudden realizes, oh, crap, the quarterback still has the ball. And that's exactly what happened to me right there, as they all just faked me out. And once again on the racetrack, I'd be burning through a set of tires. Because I usually forget to turn the tires off.
Love speed poker.
Good Lord. Well, Michael Witt, Timothy Cook, Larry Miles, Mark Johnston, Brian Turnowski, Alex Princeton, Ron Fitting, Chad Sander, Chris Custer, and Matt Mackin all down pit road. Anthony Savignano still there for the last 9 minutes and 40 seconds. He's obviously getting a lot of repair done from that earlier incident that he had with Chad Sanner.
Yes. So Dave, I don't know if you watched the Racers Elite special event last night, but there may or may not have been a picture of yours truly that floated into the broadcast doing a certain activity where you're unconscious and making noise.
Perhaps like one that I caught?
Yeah.
That was Thursday that I caught you sleeping?
Thursday. Literally caught me sleeping.
Folks, here's the thing. Of course, we all use, webcams here when we're chatting with one another on Discord, and I forget what happened, but I got up and I came back a little bit later and sat down and found Alan sleeping on camera. And not just like your average, just sitting there with your eyes closed like your grandfather would have done after Thanksgiving dinner, just resting his eyes. I mean like full-on unconscious.
Oh boy. We were watching the Lucas Oil Dirt late model series from 34 Speedway in Burlington, Iowa. Has the iRacing.com page. Burlington, Iowa. The iRacing.com pace car, it has its lights out as we are coming through the tunnel turn 2, and then I love the writing on the wall there when you get to turn 3. It says, "What turn 4?"
I mean, because I'm sure that there's somebody out there very confused. Only here in Pennsylvania will you find a racetrack with just 3 turns.
Doesn't shock me.
And I don't want to really break this apart, but like, we call at typical oval racetracks, turn 1 is the beginning part of a turn. Turn 2 is, the end part of the turn, right? Why wouldn't we have turn 1/2, turn 3/4, turn 5/6?
Well, Matt Long takes off, and we are back to green flag racing. Bennett Allen, tries to make that outside work as they're going to fan out and do the Indy Snake, getting down to turn number 1. There would be 6 turns if we did that. Well, we got a car around back there in the back, and that's going to bring out the dreaded yellow flag.
And that's Andrew Deemer, and that will conclude stage number 1 here, leaving Matt Long atop the pile. But let's see what happened with Andrew Deemer as he was here in the 38, just ahead of Alex Princeton, and he just got loose. The rear end of the car came around, caught Princeton, and that was all she wrote there. As we get to the end of stage number 1, let's see if we can find this maybe from Princeton's standpoint, as I got to find the 19. I know I'm not blind.
But you might be tripping.
I'm not even tripping. Today. Or tomorrow. I don't do that. I mean, I do trip from time to time, but, the traditional way, over my shoes. Here we go. Let's ride along with Alex Princeton. And we're going to watch the rear end of the 38 just sneak around. Here it comes. And he just came right down across the nose of the 19. No fault by Alex Princeton, that's for sure. And that's something that, of course, I know that a lot of people get upset about. Well, it was his fault. He shouldn't have been there. No, you shouldn't have left the rear end of your car dance around. It doesn't help. Dan Moynihan saying, how we doing, Dave? Dan, I'm good. That's Boston, Massachusetts native Dan Moynihan. Of course, you can see him tomorrow night taking out the Dunkin' Donuts machine. Keith Long, he's crying out for Keith Long here in the top 10, but right now, and what was that last one there? Tripping the traditional way. Yes, the traditional way. Over my shoes. I'll tell you what, these guys that tune in here, I love all these dudes. I mean, look, I call a couple of different leagues here on Sim Racing Media, and I've called I've called, dozens of leagues over the last few years. And this league and the Western States Racing League are the ones that always made me feel like home. Western States Racing League even has a pizza named after Tony and I.
I did not know that.
I will send you the link. It's the Beltrami salami pizza made for Dave and Tony. It is the most special thing in all of sim racing to me. Because Tony and I were just a couple of morons at the microphones, and it turns out that we were pretty good at what we did. Speaking of webcams, there.
And that is when.
Is. Oh, look at you with the shaved head.
Yeah, you know what? I don't like hair.
That's fair. Let's go ahead and get a hold of Matt Long, who doesn't like to finish last. Hey, Matt, it's Dave and Alan up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yo, what's up, guys?
Man, you're what's up right now. I mean, you come out 10th position after, of course, a couple of drivers tried to flip the stage, but how is the 97 hauling here in Stage 1?
Yeah, she feels really good, so I knew we'd start behind some guys here, and it should be some fun picking our way back to the front.
Now, what's going to be the strategy to pick your way back to the front? I mean, some of these guys, they only came down on lap 22. One came down on 12, 26. I mean, are you just waiting for their tires to kind of give out? I mean, you've got 65 laps this round.
Yeah, patience for sure. Some people are going to try to get up there in 2 laps, and I just need to be on my toes. We'll have plenty of time, so just patience.
Patience is the key to this sim. I mean, we've seen it time and time again here on iRacing.com, and I mean, if there's anybody that I think has a long enough fuse, it's going to be you, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we got the car, so it'll come to us. It should be fun.
All right, man. Listen, good luck the rest of the way, and maybe we'll see you here on the other side.
All right, talk to you guys later.
That, of course, the voice of Matt Long, driver of the 97 out of the Dirty South Racing stable. And Alan, we've got a long run this time, 65 laps from this point to the end of lap number 95. What are you looking for from these drivers?
Well, now the intensity level is going to get cranked up a little bit more. These guys are going to start making more aggressive moves. And we might even see a pit stop in there, mixed in there. Also, as these guys are going to have, 30 more laps, 35 more laps to get her done.
That's an excellent point. In fact, let's take a look here at the current track conditions. It has been horrific in Pennsylvania over the last several weeks. Temperature-wise, you've had flooding. We've had heat wave after heat wave. And, of course, up here in the mountains, just 80 degrees right now in sim time, 117 degrees the asphalt temperature. That's pretty loose for Pocono.
Yeah, so the back of your race car is going to dance a lot. You can almost cook an egg on that track temperature right there, 117 degrees. But right now it's 39% humidity. That's a dry heat. Till you get to the Midwest where the humidity is like 100% and it just smacks you right in the face. You can't breathe. So, nonetheless, the iRacing.com pace car has his lights out. And that would be Chris Davis and Eric Papineau on the front row. Bobby Anderson, Diego Rodriguez making his way up to the 4th position on this restart. And these guys are up double-digit numbers to start the stage 2. So far, Bobby Anderson is up 31 spots from where he started at.
Barney reaches down and grabs the green flag out of the holster. The iRacing.com pace car rolls into turn 3, starts to make the peak down toward pit road. Chris Davis with control of the field comes into the Geico restart zone. Chris Davis drops the hammer and away we go.
65 laps here in stage 2, and the intensity level is going to get cranked up a lot more. And ever since we started stage racing, Dave, we would call these heat races where I'm from, and the real race starts after stage 2.
Yeah, I mean, we watch stage 1 and 2 here, and sometimes I feel like it'd be better if we just tuned in during stage 3 because that's when the heat really intensifies here. Already saw one driver, that Steve Herring, peeking down pit road. He must have had some kind of a penalty to serve. as he came down literally as the green flag came out. But Chris Davis with a commanding lead over Bobby Anderson and Diego Rodriguez. And, of course, Diego in the Truck Series basically endeared himself to me a couple of weeks ago as he put my name on the back of his truck and broke me mid broadcast. So for those of you who are into the painting of iRacing cars, yeah, go ahead, hide an Easter egg and watch your broadcaster lose his mind on the air.
You know that I made it onto the Sim Racing Media YouTube page.
Look, here's the thing. I'm just very proud that we have wow, side by side goes the 17 of Pocono, and all of a sudden Diego Rodriguez as they get ready to exchange paint here on the backstretch. And don't look now, but here comes Bennett Allen as Eric Pocono has a crazy amount of flashing going on right now for the 17. That's going to be nerve-wracking for Bennett Allen as we go on board with him.
Yeah, driver out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Bennett Allen definitely trying to be in it as he is working his way down off turn 3, and he is almost not even glued to the back bumper of Pocono. But that is so nerve-wracking whenever you have a driver just blinking out like he is right now, and the other drivers will start to call him out.
Yeah, because when you're traveling behind somebody that's got some connection issues, now it looks like it's stabilized here as Bobby Anderson just beat fast time at 54.6 seconds. Of course, just a moment ago, that belonged to Nolan Hodgson at 54.62, so 200th of a second separating those two drivers on their fast time. But, Pocono here, when you're flashing and blinking right in front of somebody with connection issues, that person behind you, one, they lose their draft temporarily, and two, they have no idea where you're going to reappear. And sometimes iRacing really screws up and you wind up in their cockpit.
For sure. Right now, Bobby Anderson with the fastest lap of the race so far, or was. Now, give it to Neil Pearson with a 54.44. I mean, that's haul in the mail here at Pocono as they go down to turn number 1.
So a question I just thought of sitting here when I said the word, because I've always been curious, why is it called a cockpit? I feel like, oh wow, Pearson just went 54.44. Why is it called a cockpit? Well, I went to Google and I asked. Apparently it comes from cock, which is an old English term for small boat, and swain, which is servant. So simply put, a coxswain is a boat servant. Over time, the title led to the steering compartment of smaller boats where the coxswain sat. So the driver of the boat was called a coxswain, and then the area became known as a cockpit. There you have it.
We're here to inform and entertain as Matt Long hits a 54.39 that last time by. So we're watching Neil Pearson and right in that 4th position. Bobby Anderson looks like he takes the lead there on the scoring pylon.
Bobby Anderson does take the lead. Let's see if we can find where that pass was right here on lap number 37 as we tune in. All of a sudden, he just gets a run out of one and down the Long Pond straightaway. He peeks behind the 74 of Chris Davis and just never lets off the throttle. Davis then, of course, checks up coming into 2, and Anderson decides he's going to hold it open just a little bit more and gets ahead of Davis.
And Bobby Anderson definitely driving the wheels off of that M&M's Ford, as they are no longer sponsoring cars in NASCAR, but we'll call Bobby Anderson the Candyman. Here comes Bennett trying to be in it for 2nd place, as he's going to make a move on Chris Davis. Chris Davis.
Yeah, Chris Davis came down on lap number 22. Bennett on fresher tires makes his way past Davis, and Bennett just laid down fast time at 54.32. So all of a sudden, Bennett Allen is hauling the mail, and you can see the way that the rear end of the 15 is squatted down, and that front splitter is right off the ground by about 1.5 inches.
Yeah, here they come down to the front straightaway, and so far it's essentially a 4-horse race as Mike McConville, he's bringing up that second group. And this is the kind of racing that you would see at a super speedway like your Talladegas and Daytonas.
Yeah, this definitely has a different flavor tonight here at Pocono in the Cup car than it has over the last few years, as drivers have gotten better and better handling the new Cup car when it came out, and I refuse to call it the other term for the Cup car. But now Matt Long and Nolan Hodgson racing one another down the backstretch and into turn 2, the tunnel turn, as they come in. They're just underneath Sean Rogers in the 40, or just behind Sean Rogers, and get past Tyler Hunter in the 69.
Tyler Hunter right in that 10th position right now. And here comes Paul Hill looking to the inside. Can he get the spot away? I don't think so. Yep, he does that time. He gets clear of that 69 car of Tyler Hunter. And, well, these guys are going to swap position. Like, well, I don't really have it. And then, I'm losing my track. Nonetheless, Tyler Hunter is still back in that 10th position. Paul Hill, going to regroup and try to make that move once again.
Pearson starting to gain on McConville, as McConville now trailing him by just about 9/10 of a second. Pearson drafting up just behind Chris Davis, getting his way toward that podium area. Of course, we don't really think of the podium until we're about midway through stage 3, but right now, these drivers atop the pile, they're thinking about it now as we look back here to Cody McCorkle. As McCorkle in the 78 tucks himself just behind Tyler Hunter coming down the front chute, and he has a rearview mirror full of Tane Hoddison. We take a look here from Hoddison's perspective, and all McCorkle can see is Hoddison's nose, and Hoddison is all over him with runs coming in and out of turn 1. So at this point, I would say Tane Hoddison's got a case of the runs.
Well, he's definitely not saving big money at Menards right now.
And in a new Isaacs paint scheme is Ken Ron in the 33. He runs just over top of fellow Pennsylvanian Rich Jett in the double natural, that 77 Godzilla machine. So a little bit of Toyota on Chevrolet action here coming down the backstretch and into turn 2. As they haul it down out of 3, they are right behind Michael Witt, who is literally just completely content, just riding along, getting it done, not trying to cause any problems. Oddly enough, missing from tonight's field is Chief Cook and Bottle Washer Chris Claude, as he did not qualify, and I'm curious where he at. He's not even in his Discord.
Yeah. Maybe he had an emergency.
I'm going to send him a text, don't you worry. That's what a good broadcaster does, trying to get you the inside scoop.
Well, while he's doing that, we're going to watch Bobby Anderson, who's about a half second ahead of Chris Davis and Neil Pearson. Neil Pearson from Perth, Western Australia. And wow, little side drafting action going on, and he is, going to get that 74 car loose.
And making a special appearance here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth after I literally just sent you a text, Chris Claude, normally the driver of the number 10 Toyota Camry. Chris, what are you doing up here? What happened?
I'm up here momentarily. I had some technical difficulties with iRacing. So, little reinstallation, little, misunderstanding that you have to install all content, not just the stuff that you own in order to get it to work. So, I'm about 10 minutes away. I'll be in the race, but just a little bit behind the 8 ball tonight.
I can only picture you putting your head directly through the desk.
It's already been done.
The other night on, it was Thursday night, correct? Thursday night we had a massive outage on iRacing. Of course, a little crime happening to the iRacing servers. I didn't know what to do. I felt like Ricky Bobby. I didn't know what to do with my hands. I was supposed to be talking.
Yeah, it sounds like that iRacing had, I guess over the past week or so that they've had some denial of service errors that have been affecting a lot of the races. And Thursday night was one of those. I'm glad that it's fixed for everyone else tonight, but I'm trying to save some space on the PC and probably deleted some things that I shouldn't. Didn't think I needed them, and apparently I do. It worked fine in a practice session all week long leading up to this race, and just decided to not work when it was race time. So I learned my lesson and just keep everything up to date from now on.
Stop touching. That's what they said.
Yeah.
Stop touching.
That's right. Just leave well enough alone. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Trust me.
Ooh, the red button.
Every time I try to make any kind of a change to iRacing, I feel like I'm playing with a bomb. Because I've made slight changes. Sometimes just a simple Windows update or a simple iRacing update is enough to throw things completely out of whack. And I'm always very scared that very first broadcast after I come back from an update.
Yeah, I can imagine so, because whether it's the OBS or whatever you use for the broadcast, or iRacing or SDK, there's a lot of thing go into it, and hiccup can cause some major confusion.
Yeah, last week it was actually OBS that wanted to fight with me, and I was getting ready to do something. I forget which race it was that I was getting ready to call, and because now they're all starting to run together. But all of a sudden, I had no audio. I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't do anything. I was paralyzed. And Mike DeMonet hops in. He goes, "Oh, try this, try that." Next thing you know, bada bing, bada boom, we're back on the air. And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I've been here, having a panic attack for 15 minutes." But what a race we've got going on here tonight at Long Pond. I had the opportunity to get up there this weekend and could not. But, Pocono is one of those unique tracks. And I know you and I, Chris, although this is my home track, this is not my favorite track by any stretch.
Yeah, I like it. I was kind of just thinking to myself, I wish that these problems that I had could have happened last week at the street course, where I had virtually no chance of having that great of a finish. At least this track, I have a prayer of having a good finish. Yeah, it's a unique track. Just the fact that it's the only one that has 3 turns. I'll give it that. It was one of those tracks, if you remember from the old Xbox days, that they didn't even include. I think the 2005 with Kevin Harvick on the cover is one of the only track that was missing, because they didn't have the licensing for it, and then eventually they added it in there. And I was happy from that perspective to be able to race all the tracks that they race in real life.
Yeah, I never understood that whole licensing battle in the NASCAR 2005 game, and why Pocono wanted to hold out. I mean, this is one of the most iconic tracks because it's only got 3 turns. And, now ISM owns portions of it, so it's got a little bit more of a leg to stand on. Whoa, a rub of the wall gives Matt Long here on lap number 48. Things have really quieted down here in this race. Who is that blinking back there? I see him. I think that's the 17
I know it.
again.
Yeah, Eric Papina, he was blinking earlier in the broadcast I saw.
Well, I'll tell you what, Chris. Now, you and I have had this discussion over the years about quality and so on and so forth as far as internet connection. I made the switch and left Xfinity and came over to Verizon. My download speed is now as fast as, or my upload speed is now as fast as my download speed.
Yeah, my parents, no, actually they have a different, but they're using a wireless service. They left Xfinity for that, and I'm sticking with them. I understand about the upload speeds are not nearly as fast as the download speeds, but generally my connection is flawless when I am in the race. Every once in a while I have a bump, which I really almost contribute to just it being on the iRacing side, not necessarily on mine. But I do want to. Apparently my updater is at 98%, so I'll probably be in the race here in just a second. I wanted to ask, and I hate to rub salt, but since you've got such a big lead, I guess I will. What happened today to the fields? Did you watch the game? Well, how did they get? I mean, that was it definitely stood out.
I mean, here's the deal. You can't win all 162.
No, I know, but you don't lose.
Even the Marlins and the A's have to pick up a win every now and then.
Yeah, I get that.
But today was just puke all over the field. It was just poor play. The guys are tired. We've gotten to the All-Star break, and I don't want to give him too many excuses because poor play has no excuse in my book. But, what in the world is Nolan Hodgson doing that far down on the paint? I think that these guys are just out of gas right now here at the All-Star break. And, they've got to refill the tank. They're going to take the week and do that, of course, with the All-Star game coming up this week. And, I think that's really what it was. It was, you know what, we're playing Oakland. It doesn't really matter. It's not divisional. Get off the gas. The scary thing is sometimes when you get off the gas, it makes the motor rub a little bit.
Okay, well, I completely understand that. You guys have had a fantastic season up to this point. I'm hoping the Braves can make it a little bit of a battle. I think that they will. I'm glad that they got Eddie Rosario back. Michael, his name is...
It's called a brain
the center field, the center fielder. Anyway, he'll be back soon. I'll think of it here in a second. I'm just so happy that my sim finally got loading past 37%, which is where it kept crashing. And so I'm gonna let you guys go and jump in my team chat, and you guys have a good rest of the race. And I'll talk to you later on.
All right, buddy. Thanks for your time. Appreciate you coming in.
Sure.
You know what? Chris is one of those guys. And listen, I spent a long time. Wow, look at Matt Long. We'll talk about Chris in a second. Matt Long all of a sudden has a fire under his driver's seat as even he's dancing out of turn 2 down the short straightaway, getting a bump from Paul Hill behind. Paul Hill just bump drafted the 97 into turn 3. Good Lord, on lap number 51. We're only 15 laps away right now, or I'm sorry, 45 laps away from the end of stage 2. But, to Chris's point, Chris, of course, is a diehard Atlanta Braves fan. And here's the deal. I always think it's funny that for some reason, and I'm not even an Eagles fan, but for some reason, the Eagles and the Phillies are the only teams that give this town any joy, okay? Because the Flyers are a continual disappointment. The Sixers come out hot and fall flat, in the playoffs.
That's kind of like watching the Cowboys.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Alan Bergen, 400 comedians are out of work, and he's auditioning. But, and we are under caution. Not sure who's fallen back where. Let's see if we might be able to pick this up somewhere. I don't see any smoke. Not sure where this came from.
Debris.
Could be debris. Let's call it debris.
Remember the debris cautions?
The old-fashioned debris cautions.
Out of nowhere.
But anyway, but the Phillies and the Eagles, each year that they have done well, and I don't want to jinx it for my Phillies. Quite frankly, I don't care if the Eagles get into a massive bus crash. But the Phillies, when you don't talk about them in the preseason, and they had an average, spring training down there in Florida. I got a chance to watch them for a week down in Clearwater. But, they had an average spring training. They had an average off-season, and all of a sudden have just come out firing on all cylinders. And for a lot of these guys, it has been next man up. That's been the mentality for this team, all season long, as Chris Claude has now finally gotten himself into the pits, and now he's left the pits, and he will get into line for the first time tonight, as he's going to be 53 laps down, but he's not about to miss out on any points. And believe me, Chris Claude needs those points. But the Phillies just managed to surprise me when they have an average offseason, an average spring training, and then, wow, the best team in baseball. Even when Chris Claude wants to rub some salt in the wound, as well as Frank Marchese, it is what it is. As we're going to have wholesale pit stops right now, as everybody has run over to Sam's Club, updated that membership, and they want to get the big box. As Neil Pearson and everybody from first all the way down here through at least P23, 4. Everybody on the lead lap coming down pit road.
Well, I will say this, though, Dave, as we're watching wholesale pit stops. I said at the beginning of the season when they were talking about Oliver Marmol, hey, you should fire the coach here in St. Louis. you can't lose them all. And we're above 500. We lost 2 out of the 4 to the Cubby Bears this weekend. You are 8.5 games back in the National League Central. So essentially, we would be in line for that, second wild card spot here, unless we can go on a tear in the second half of the MLB season.
I used to say things like the Phillies would have an awful beginning half of the season and say, it'll be fine after we come out of the All-Star break. At this point, I think sometimes you got what you got. You really do. As Amanda Price dropping in one more time here, reminding us that she is cheering on the 44 of Sean Rogers. Let's take a look here and see where old Sean is. Here in the 44, he runs in 11th position right now. Let's see if we can get a hold of Sean. Sean Rogers, where are you? There he is, up here in the CSS stable. Hey, Sean, it's David Allen up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? Hey, Sean, it's David Allen up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? No, he don't. He's grayed out. I don't know why.
He just put us on the do not disturb list.
He might have. Well then, guess he doesn't want to play. Let's see if we can do it again. One more time. Sean Rogers, it's David Allen up in the booth. You got us. Nope.
Amanda says answer us, Sean.
Sean said, screw you guys. I'm not talking to you tonight because every time we talk to him, bad things happen. And you know what? He wouldn't be wrong. Metler and I gave him the kiss of death a couple of weeks ago, and I feel awful.
Yeah, Matt Metler's on assignment tonight here. So I'm actually excited to be up in the booth with my good buddy Dave Regal. And over the weekend, we decided we're going to make a plan to catch a Phillies card series next summer. So, don't know what city we're going to catch it in, but we're going to do it. Right now, as we get lined up behind that iRacing.com pace car, 2x2 Noah's Ark style, and we are going to have Alexander Gingler in that number 8 car, and Neil Pearson on the front row for this restart. They come down that long Pondbeck straightaway, and there, I'm sure there's really a house there.
It really is. And so that house is actually the racetrack office.
Nice.
You can go there and get your tickets. You can get, your advanced tickets, that is. Of course, that's also where management hangs out. That really does exist. This racetrack, and it's because it's one that I've been to, this racetrack truly is almost 1,000% accurate to the real world. As the iRacing.com pace car peels on down pit road, Alexander Gangler with control of the field after coming down on lap 31 and staying out. Here he is. Let me tell you, Alan, and I've said this before, Alexander Gangler is the SNN version of you. I love Alexander Gangler to death. Once upon a time, he was our race controller when I was a racer, and Alexander out of Big Rock, Illinois, was a great race controller. He managed to fit us in with his busy schedule to do race control, and it was just an absolute joy to have in our chat and talk with him during the race, blah blah blah. And wow, is he suddenly going to get out of the way of Paul Hill? And at the same time, he drives me completely batty because now he's taken over the last car number that I drove, the 8. And he's just driving, now he comes down pit road. What's he doing? He came out, he led for a little while, and now he gets out of the way. But for him and you, every time I see one of you guys, especially you, because it scares the heck out of me, stay out and try to flip the field, that's usually when scary stuff happens to your vehicle, and I never feel good about when you or Gangler comes and stays out on the racing surface.
And that's how we know that's how we get you to short circuit when we're in the field. Is whenever we stay out and Dave goes, Alan, make the left, make the left, make the left, Alan. And then about the fourth one I hear over the broadcast, the fifth stay out, I'm getting a text message from Dave Riegel in all caps saying stay or go into the pits now, and about 6 explanation points.
If I have your phone number and I see you do something boneheaded on the racetrack, while I'm up here, don't get me wrong, nicely ensconced in the broadcast booth, if I see you do something boneheaded, I'm going to give you both barrels every time.
I tell people, I said Dave Riegel could always be my crew chief from the broadcast booth.
Well, Cody McCorkle, speaking of crew chiefs, Cody McCorkle doesn't need one right now. He runs in 6th position in the Cabela's Chevrolet Camaro. One Toyota in the top 10, and that belongs to Chris Davis in the 74, and he would be in 3rd position right now in the beast mode machine as Bennett Allen and Paul Hill lead this race. They each came down on lap number 53, so freshies underneath the cars. They're just coming up to temperature now, and we're going to start to see some faster times here as they come down the front stretch here on lap number 59. We're just about 36 to go now in stage number 2, and we're going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media. I'm Dave Riegel, he's Alan Bergen, and this is Sunday Night NASCAR.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
To the outside line, he breaks so much later. Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second spot, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom. Bouchard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
No back into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line.
Welcome back to Pocono Raceway as Bennett Allen leads the way here on lap number 63. Dave Regal and Alan Bergen with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth as we work lap number 63 on our way to 95 to the conclusion of stage number 2. Bennett Allen now opening up nearly a 0.4 of a second lead over Paul Hill as we just had a little bit of a shuffle-uffacus here at the top of this piece as Sean Rogers in the 44 is holding off Cody McCorkle in that front pack. Alan, this has been an incredible race so far. What do you think we're going to see here in the remaining laps of stage 2?
The sense of urgency is going to go up as we are working our way inch by inch to the end of stage 2. But now if you're back there, you know, this is a longer stage. We've seen pit stops. We've seen a debris caution. As I use air quotes, a debris caution. And now you still probably got 5 sets of tires or 4 sets of tires left in the pits, so you got to use them sparingly. And now we're going to start to see fuel mileage come into play also.
Taking a look here at Mike McConville as he was just peeking around the rear bumper of Seba Cornez. Now Seba, during our commercial break, if you were watching in the split screen, he was starting to battle it out with Kavaja Holt. Now, Kavaja, as I've mentioned before, is a longtime driver in this league, and he deserves to get himself a win. He's out here, and he usually gets wrapped up in somebody else's mess. It's never his fault, per se, or at least my opinion, it's never his fault. And, Kavaja, I always kind of feel bad for when these races happen and bad things happen to him. And, of course, here we are in the rolling hills of Pennsylvania, just outside of coal country and in the Pocono Mountains. Of course, when I say in the Pocono Mountains, I mean in the middle of nowhere. You can go to an adults-only resort up here. You can sit in a champagne glass as your hot tub. It's called Paradise Cove. It just there's something that bothers me about it. I feel like it would be a lovely place to go sometime, but it also feels like a spunk factory. They're always on Groupon trying to give stuff away. Watching Mike McConville here in the one machine working just over top of Seba Cornez. This is a battle for 10th position, and a stage point is on the line as McConville muscles his way ahead of Seba Cornez, who was just challenging Kavaja Holt. Now, Mikey Mack gets to set sail for the rear bumper of Kavaja. Now, obviously, Mike McConville here, primarily an Xfinity driver, but he's trying to get some more seat time and a little bit of practice time for tomorrow night's Xfinity race live here on Sim Racing Media. Of course, we've got 6 nights of racing here in this league this week, on Sim Racing Media. Wow, I can really think good as I'm switching between screens here the hard way. And of course, tomorrow night we'll have the Xfinity Series here, and then Tuesday night in the Truck Series, we come back after another off week, as we're going to be here in the Truck Series on Tuesday. Then Lucas Oil Raceway for the Truck Series next week, and then another pair of off weeks with one more before the playoffs. And in the Truck Series, we've only got 3 races left before the playoffs that will start on August 27th. And so we are Pocono, Indianapolis Raceway Park, and Richmond before the playoffs in the Truck Series.
Paradise Stream Cove Pocono Resort.
Yeah, you and a wife would have a blast. Pun intended. Well, you would have a blast. She would be disappointed. But still, Nolan Hodgson running in 4th position as Chris Davis now here in the 74 runs away from Paul Hill. They're side by side. What do you think there about Paradise Cove? I mean, it seems like a clothing optional kind of place, and believe me, you should wear it.
I don't want to get a sunburn.
It's fine. Just a little bit of I can't with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the only person at Sim Racing Media who has been able to break me consistently is Alan Bergen, and he does it again tonight. As Matt Long running in 6th position, this is suddenly quite an interesting little pack here. We can see Neil Pearson here in the 58 just ahead of Matt Long as they work their way back toward the front. But all of these drivers came down on lap number 53. They're all on a level playing field. And that's going to make things interesting here toward the end of stage 2. As, their tires are going to wear similarly. And, of course, their patience is going to wear out as well.
Yeah, there's no Hodgson just bounced it off the wall. A little side drafted on the wall, but that's okay. Okay, you can do that. And, unfortunately I won't be attending the Miami trip with you guys, Dave, as I will be recreating my honeymoon from 10 years ago. As my wife and I will be celebrating 10 years of blissful marriage, and I tell people I've been married for 10 and happily married for 5, so...
It's all right. She tells people that she's been married for 10 and happily married for 23 minutes, but how dare you?
Some people tell me she's a saint.
She has to be to put up with you. Folks, this is a guy, and I love Alan Bergen. He is fully engaged to what we do here at Sim Racing Media as we watch Nolan Hodgson looking back toward the 58 of Neil Pearson, and Pearson getting ready to work the high side of Hodgson as he starts to melt backwards, obviously not able to save tires here at Pocono. But, folks, this is a guy who is literally on the SRM Discord almost any time after working hours of the week.
Or during.
And sometimes during. I crept on him one day and found him there. I can only assume that he was in the bathroom.
One time I was actually in my office just, hanging out.
And if you had Alan has an office on your bingo card, go ahead and pick yourself a prize. As Chris Davis here, this is all kinds of an interesting mess here. Look at these guys. Now, the 58 of Neil Pearson leads Davis, Hodgson, Long, and Rogers. These are some of the strongest drivers in this league, and they're all together. We're going to watch some incredible racing as right now Matt Long backing off here and sliding just behind Rogers. You almost wonder if Matt Long just wants to, cool the tires off here in the 97 after he won stage 1. He's got those 10 stage points in his pocket, 3 wins on the season. Maybe just cool it off here for a little while. Last week, he told us that he had downloaded the track at Chicago 90 minutes before the green flag.
And that made you short circuit there because you were like...
I thought I had heard wrong.
You had short circuited. Whatever he told you, I just downloaded the track an hour before, and he goes out and wins the race. An hour after buying it, in the music world, it's called sight reading, and when you sight read a piece of music to perfection, like he sight read that track to perfection, that just blows my mind.
Matt Long leading Sean Rogers, and now the 88, which is a lap car, that's Michael Witt, rides the high side. And the interesting thing about Michael Witt is if the caution were to come out right now, he would be your lucky dog as he is just ahead of Bobby Anderson. And Anderson, quite a distance behind him, about 13 seconds. So right now, Michael Witt praying for a caution to come out so he can go ahead and get that lap back and further away from, of course, the 18 of Bobby Anderson.
Well, here comes Matt Long making a move on the inside, and that's the 74 of Chris Davis. And that's going to be for position number 5. As Chris Davis has a little help from his friends in the form of Sean Rogers. As they're going to do the drafting thing and maybe try to butt draft before they get to turn 1. Whoa! Oh! Saves it! if Sean Rogers had not been there, Chris Davis was all the way around. So Matt Long actually used Chris Davis to keep himself straight, and then Seabiscuit.
Here he comes out of 2, and maybe there was a little bit of net code where iRacing was deciding what was going to come next, and iRacing wouldn't have been wrong, per se. Let's see if we can look at this maybe from turn 2's perspective. As they come in here. I don't know if this is going to get us the right camera. Nope, all we can see is pandemonium down that little short straightaway. Well, Sean Rogers, right place at the right time, as now that's going to trigger our 6th caution of the evening, 5th for cause, which, it's Pocono. In fact, I'm going to look back here in just a moment and see what last year's Pocono race was like, because I don't remember off the top of my head. Is Bennett Allen going to lead us down pit road? Unless he's going to do that thing. Nope, he actually did. And Paul Hill thought that he was going to do the thing. Here we are. Last year's Pocono race. Race number 26. Nope, it wasn't race 26, it was 21. Last year there were 15 cautions, 17 lead changes, and 7 leaders over the 160 laps here at Pocono. Just saying. As Bennett Allen spins the tires coming out of pit road, a little smoke behind him. And it's going to be Pearson, Hodgson, Long, and Princeton, your top 4. Bennett Allen's going to anchor the top 5, and that will trigger the lucky dog rule for Michael Witt, who gets the lap back.
The lucky dog. It's not even sponsored by Aaron's no more. Well, 75, we are under the 6th caution, as Dave said, and, well, it's been a fun one. And not so fun for Sean Rogers is Sean Rogers is getting the Teammate of the Year award for that one. The number 88 car, Michael Witt, he's going to be the free pass car, or the wave around, if you will. And he's going to be taking that wave around pretty soon, probably as we come out of turn 3.
I mean, right now, he would be eligible to come into pit road, and he does. So when he comes back out, he's going to have to run past everybody to get the lap back. Neil Pearson, Tane Hodgson, Keith Long, Alex Princeton, all 4 of those drivers came down on lap number 53. That's going to put Bennett Allen and Paul Hill, Nolan Hodgson, Matt Long, and the rest of the gang on a different pit cycle. Let's take a look here at the pit strategy and what that's going to do. Now, of course, as I said, there's 22 laps on those tires for Pearson, Hodgson, Princeton, and Long. And, of course, freshies the rest of the top 10. So you've got to wonder if, those next 6 drivers from 5th all the way back through 10th are going to suddenly make some kind of a crazy run here at toward the lead. And I wouldn't be surprised if we suddenly see Bennett Allen strap the chrome horn to the front of the Ford and make a run for the lead here with about 20 laps to go in Stage 2.
Yeah, 20 laps to go. And real quick, while we're under discussion, if you think you got what it takes to talk, if you had the gift of gab or the gift of computering and want to look into broadcasting with Sim Racing Media, contact myself, Dave Regal, Mike the Money, or Jonathan Leach. Find us on YouTube, or find us on Facebook, find us on Discord, and we'll get you set up. We'll give you a tryout, and we're essentially looking for broadcasters and producers here on Sim Racing Media. So if you you want something fun to do, if you want to be engaged, hang out with Dave on a Sunday night, hang out with myself, hit us up and we'll get you pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, that's a selling point. Hang out with Dave. He's just a ray of sunshine. Neil Pearson leading us back to the green flag as the iRacing.com pace car dips on down pit road. Pearson going to have control of the field as we're going to go on board with him. Enters the Geico restart zone, drops the hammer, and away we go.
Neil Pearson headed down to turn number 1. And you can hear him come up through the gearbox. And I don't think they're quite hitting 5th gear all the way at the end of the straightaway coming up back from the caution flag, but you can tell, you can hear him feathering that throttle just a little bit.
Yeah, they don't have enough space between the start-finish line and turn 1 to get all the way up to 5th gear, but he obviously hits it here coming into 2. But now we're going to hear him start running through those gears. He drops down to 4th. Coming out of 2, he's going to stay in 4th. He may even drop down into 3rd coming into 3.
That's usually what I do when I run this racetrack, because I'm usually 3rd gear all the way around here. Or if it's late in the run, I'll even drop down to 2nd before coming back up to the gearbox down that long front straightaway.
You're also not usually running P1. Tell me I'm wrong. I'll wait.
I'm usually only when I stay out in short circuit Dave Regan.
You know, but here's the thing, and that's something that I noticed from up here in the broadcast booth where I question somebody's driving ability, and I'm thinking, who am I to question this guy? I mean, I only break your stones, but I mean, you know, I look at some of these drivers and I'm like, I would never question Bennett Allen or Neil Pearson. I would never question Matt Long or Sean Rogers.
I would question Matt Mettler all day long.
I question his sanity my entire life. Speaking of Sean Rogers, driver the number 44 out of Kalamazoo, Michigan, he has agreed to be my drafting partner on August 25th in the Coke 0400 live from Daytona International Speedway. As to celebrate getting 4,000 subscribers, yours truly is going to climb back behind the wheel for a night and race in the Coke 0400. And Alan, I have already taken the car out for a couple of test drives to try to work out some of the bugs. And I got to be honest, I might be a threat to my own safety.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean,
that's fair.
You know, here's the deal. I agreed to do it. I'm going to do it because that's what the fans like to see. And I'm only excited because Sean Rogers is going to be my drafting partner. Because at least then I might have a chance.
Well, don't do what I do and stay out on old tires while everybody else goes in. You see Sean Rogers go in, you go in.
Yeah, it's pretty much how that's going to work. I don't know what car number I'll be yet, as Bennett Allen just laid down a 54.1.
I do want to talk to Alexander Gangler, so he'll give up the 8 car for one night.
No, that's not how that works. That's not how any of this works. I wouldn't expect Gangler to come off the 8, you know, just because that's his number. He's now had it since July of last year. It's been a year since I've, you know, turned a lap here in this league. And, you know, quite frankly, I don't care if they give me the number 31. I don't. Do we have 31? I'm checking
no.
right now, and I don't see one.
No.
I mean, it's not there. Oh, I hear the Wee Woo bus.
Oh, I see the Wee Woo bus.
Not me. The Boo Boo bus making its appearance here in Norristown. You know, I gotta be honest. I mean, you know, people talk mad crap about Norristown, but I don't see the police on my block. I don't see the ambulance on this block. It's not a bad neighborhood.
And you don't get to play gunshot or fireworks.
No,
so
I still do that.
Where I'm from here. So from where I'm at here in south of St. Louis, I'm actually in the 63051, and I joked that Kenny Wallace, the NASCAR driver, represents the 63052. out here where I'm at, it's usually a gunshot.
I don't worry about it. It wasn't me.
Because someone's done something stupid to warrant that. Because out here where I'm from, yeah, you have guns. We have guns. We're in the left.
Well, apparently they also have guns in Butler. In fact, while I sit here and think about that, because I'm curious, I know that the President of the United States was supposed to have an Oval Office address. Apparently he called for unity in his speech. I don't even know if he can spell it.
Well, he's gonna be the greeter feller that's wearing a Walmart vest when he's working at Target.
Oh my. That's a new one.
We are watching Alex Princeton there in at number 19, and that is a Chevy Camaro that he's driving there, and he's got the number 57 car of Larry Miles in Toyota all over his back bumper. And these guys are pretty spread out now. They're single filed out around this racetrack, and it looks like things are going to calm down by a whole lot.
We want to thank everybody for tuning in to the iRacing.com broadcast live on YouTube.com. Dan Moynihan checking in again, saying, "Let's go, Bennett. We love seeing JGR in front." You're darn right we do, Dan. The driver of the Dunkin' Donuts Midnight Blend machine. We'll see him tomorrow night in the Xfinity Series. And, of course, as soon as I look away, something exciting starts to happen.
I am not a coffee drinker.
I don't drink it, I guzzle.
I don't even guzzle. No. I do like, however, I do love my Gold Peak sweet tea, though. That is my coffee. And is that Caribou coffee on the side of,
That
Princeton's
is Alex Princeton's original. Now, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Maybe this is tonight's Easter egg, if you will. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. When Alex Princeton first came into this league out of Lake Elmo, Minnesota, and he drove past me at the racetrack we were at, he had a Caribou coffee paint scheme, and I thought, who is this effing guy? And, of course, he went on to be one of the greatest drivers in this league. However, all I could think of is, who's this guy driving a Caribou coffee machine? And he's got the paint scheme on there tonight, hearkening back to those early days in his career here in SNN. And this should be his third full season. Well, now his second full season, third season overall in SNN. And what a great guy. I mean, if Lake Elmo in Minnesota was going to send us anybody, I'm sure glad that it was Alex Princeton.
I mean, yeah. Lake Elmo, Minnesota, home of the B1 bomber, Brent Larson, and Alex Princeton there in the number 19 car, up 16 spots from where he started, and having a good run, staying out of trouble as he is trying to Caribou that coffee machine up towards the front.
Alex Princeton is one of those guys where, you can sit here and you can watch him, kind of toil where he is right now. And I mean, where he runs at the moment back here in 20th position, he started in 36th. So it's been a long time coming for him. The important thing to remember with Alex Princeton is that he's patient. And, as long as you give him the opportunity, he'll stay out on the racetrack. And toward the end of this thing, I mean, even running in 20th position right now, he will suddenly be in that top 10, top 7 conversation. He may not make the podium, but he'll certainly go up there and make things difficult for those drivers.
Yeah, it seems like he's one of those guys that are where did he come from persuasion.
I mean, that's what happened the first night I ever saw him. Who's this guy?
Where did he come from?
Bennett Allen, Nolan Hodgson, and Matt Long, your top 3 as they snake their way down the front stretch. A little bit of a gap now forming between Matt Long and Paul Hill, about 0.2 of a second. And then 1 3/4 seconds back to Neil Pearson as he's now got Sean Rogers all over his rearview mirror. And as we ride along with Rogers, we can see he's looking to the inside here of Pearson. And Pearson in the 58 with about 8 laps to go in stage number 2, giving up 5th position to Sean Rogers.
And that's that give and take. You know, if you race someone the wrong way, you could definitely have a driver make things more difficult for you later on in a race or even in a season. You know, us drivers, we have that forgive and forget. We may forgive you, but we won't forget.
Well, that's pretty accurate. I mean, I see that all the time in this league as we've gone through the years. And, you know, a lot of these drivers, some of them still hold a grudge from like 2 seasons ago. And Bennett Allen here, of course, the 2022 M&N Xfinity Series champion, is holding a grudge, trying to get his way. Whoa! Contact between the 12 and the 97. What on God's green earth are we seeing here out of Matt Long, who's now bumping and banging like it's a short track with Nolan Hodgson? Lamar's Iowa and Atlanta, Georgia going at it now with Paul Hill looking on from behind. Oh, my. Speaking of holding grudges, you best believe Nolan Hodgson is not going to forget that nudge that he just got from Matt Long.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're having some fun now. As we are coming down the long straightaway. Bennett Allen is, look, almost a half second over Nolan Hodgson there in that second place car. And then you got Matt Long and Paul Hill. These guys, the top 4, pretty much made it a race of their own.
And, you know, that's something that you and I have seen week after week now in this league, whether, you know, at this level or when you come hang out with me on a Monday night for Xfinity Series action. I mean, there's always those couple of guys that, for lack of a better term, they're the usual suspects. We see that all the time. And right now, this top 5, Allen, Hodgson, Long, Hill, and Rogers, we always see up here around the top 5. I mean, this is just something that's, for lack of a better term, the usual.
Yeah, so, look, this is not nothing new that we've seen in this league. But these guys, to your point, Davis, we got about 5 laps here left in stage 2. These guys really pride themselves on safety in this league, and look, you know, they've had their incidents. You know, what league doesn't? You know, league might have a bad night, you know, but their good nights are really their great nights.
Watching Cody McCorkle here get ready to work around Neil Pearson. Pearson seems to have really cooked those tires as he is now tumbling through the standings, now running and holding on to 9th position with Mikey Mac McConville closing rapidly now with just over 5 laps to go in stage number 2. Right now, the top 10 is Bennett Allen, Nolan Hodgson, Matt Long, Paul Hill, Sean Rogers, Kavaja Holt, Tyler Hunter, Cody McCorkle, Neil Pearson, and Mike McConville. McConville getting ready to hold off Rich Jett in the double natural, that 77 Godzilla machine. But right now, I don't think Jett has it for McConville.
No, and you know, that's the thing, is the sands of the hourglass are definitely going to start running out here in stage 2. That's my great buddy Shane Lake, who joins me on Tuesday nights, goes, what are you referencing Days of Our Lives for?
I gotta be honest, when you say Days of something, I'm thinking Days of Thunder, not Days of Our Lives. But hey, whatever floats your boat, I don't want to judge. How was that Richard Simmons sweating to the oldies VHS? Too soon? Of course, we maybe should have a lap of silence for Richard Simmons, leading many middle-aged women to better health through sweating to the oldies.
Well, you know, Shannon Doherty has passed on too.
Yeah, we had like 3 famous people drop dead over the weekend, and Donald Trump nearly got dead. All kinds of mayhem happening around the United States. My God.
If you don't know who Shannon Doherty is, she was famous for a role in 90210 and Charmed.
Didn't watch it. Didn't even know who she was. Swear to God. if she would have walked up to me on the street tomorrow and punched me in the mouth, I wouldn't have been able to tell the cop who she was. Bennett Allen now starting to melt like a snow cone as he's falling back. Now, Nolan Hodgson, who was having trouble holding Matt Long off just a moment ago as we look along here from Matt Long. I mean, Nolan has now crawled up here into the race lead as they snake their way down the front stretch. 3, 2, 1, get on the binders and slow yourself into turn 1. Matt Long looking like he's trying to hold it together here for a stage 2 victory as he's keeping himself about a quarter of a second, 3/10 of a second. Wow, rubbing the wall. That's going to cost him some time now. 4/10 behind Nolan. And Nolan with 2 laps to go looks like he's got stage 2 sealed up like a package ready for the United States Postal Service.
Oh. Wow. Well, Nolan Hodges Express.
And here comes Rich Jett alongside Mike McConville as McConville had 9th position, and Rich Jett, I didn't think he was going to have enough to get around him. Now does as they come around turn 3 and back to the front chute. Rich Jett side by side with Mike McConville, duking it out here at the end of stage 2.
Yeah, here we go. This is going to get good here. Rich Jett in a double natural, riding in that top 10 position, trying to get around Mike McConville from Cape May, New Jersey. And Dave, you have that one song in your mind from Cape May, and well, you know, Mike McConville is on his way back from Cape May. As we are watching Rich Jett in a double natural, and he's don't have quite the motor to get by Rich Jett or Mike McConville there. Here comes Chris Davis trying to get into the mix right now, as the 10th car in line should trip the caution here. And
Caution will not fly until the conclusion of lap number 95, so we're going to the beginning of 96 as Nolan Hodgson leads Matt Long. And never mind, they throw it early because Chris Custer has now crashed, so that's going to hand stage 2 to Nolan Hodgson. Let's see what happens to Chris Custer. Whoa! All over the racetrack.
Ouch.
I'll say.
Chris Custer just did the slide for life.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing anymore. Let's take a look back here and see what happened again, maybe from just ahead. We can see Custer getting loose out of 3 behind Princeton. Slides all over the racetrack. And not one time did he say, I got it, I got it, I got it.
No, instead he goes, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, crash.
Well, and boom went the proverbial dynamite. So that makes your top 10. Nolan Hodgson, Matt Long, Paul Hill, Bennett Allen, Sean Rogers, Kavaja Holt, Tyler Hunter, Cody McCorkle, Mike McConville, and Rich Jett. Let's see if we can get a hold of Nolan Hodgson after the pit stop. But for now, looks like all things considered, we should be done here with stage number 2. That's going to leave just a little bit more than 60 laps to go when we go back green flag racing.
I am excited and I'm ready. Now is we're going to crank that intensity level up to 100.
Nolan Hodgson sitting behind the iRacing.com pace car, getting ready to bring us on down pit road here on lap number 96. We'll take a quick peek here at our current conditions on the racetrack. 107 degrees still, the track temperature, 80 degrees on the in the stands. As Dave Regal and Alan Bergen with you here, things have calmed down substantially, if you will, as Nolan Hodgson brings the field down. And we're glad that he did, because for us here in the broadcast booth, 7 cautions, only 5 for cause. That's a good deal. And realistically, it's 6 for cause because, the stage ended under caution. But Nolan Hodgson, after qualifying in third position, he's going to slide into box number 3, and we're going to get a chance to chat with him here. As we go on board, he's going to pop up the right sides. He's finally giving himself a break here. Let's see if we can find him. I feel like he's always so far away because he's up here in the 4-wide motorsport stable. Hey, Nolan, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, buddy, listen, another hard-fought stage. I thought that you had cooked the tires earlier, and instead you decided to show me your tailpipe and surprise me. How's the 12 handling tonight, and what do you think of moving forward here in 3?
Yeah, I mean, really, it feels like really good. I mean, like you said, it looked like I was pushing, but, you know, I was able to keep the car under me and, you know, battle Matt for that stage win. It feels really good right now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you were pushing earlier, I saw you start to drift backwards, and I thought, uh-oh, you know, this is bad. But, you know, once again, I feel like I say your guys' names all the time. Pearson, Hodgson, you, Long, you know, and, of course, you know, Sean Rogers in the 44, who's right now running way back in 16th. But, I mean, you guys all run together, you know, very closely every week. How does that feel as a driver to be around somebody who is essentially familiar?
Yeah, I mean, it feels nice. We're, except for, you know, maybe Bobby Anderson, who I think qualifies out back because he wants a shout out from you guys, honestly. But we're all battling together all the time, and I'm not gonna lie, if I mess up qualifying, I get a little nervous because, you know, there are people that I don't race around a lot, so I don't really know what they do. But to race around people that I know, it's a lot better, and I can race, you know, a little closer.
Well, what's going to be the strategy here in 3? I mean, you've got it's going to be about 62 laps to the end of the stage. Obviously, one more stop between here and the end. What are you thinking as far as fuel? You know, try to squeeze out every drop, or are we going to try to come down early? What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, I don't want to give too much away in terms of strategy, but I do know that you have to make at least one pit stop in this stage. I know we haven't had any green flag pit stops yet, other than those that pit right before the stages. So if that trend continues, that might end up being the case, but for sure one pit stop.
All right, buddy, listen, good luck the rest of the way. It looks like you're going to start behind Hodgson and Pearson, so strap up and ready to go.
Sounds good. Thank you.
As always, we're thankful for checking in here with Nolan Hodgson out of Lamar's, Iowa, as he gets ready to strap in and make Stage 3 a happening deal. 98 laps in the books. It's going to be 99 when we come back to the start-finish line here. Barney's got that yellow flag in his hand, but he's getting ready to exchange it for green as we prepare for the beginning of Stage 3. The iRacing.com pace car bringing us into turn number 3 now as he goes down that short stretch there. As Barney exchanges one for the other, the field coming through 3 as we look from the digger cam. The pace car dives on down pit road. Neil Pearson with control of the field comes into the Geico restart zone, and we are underway. Stage 3, we can see the promised land from here, Moses.
Well, let's part the Red Sea and get down to turn number 1, and, well, Neil Pearson's going to do just that. Neil Pearson, the Aussie in the field, leads the field down to turn number 1, and he's got Matt Long right on his tail.
Neil Pearson going just ahead of Matt Long as they fall single file. This front group of drivers. Whoa! I said that just as all of a sudden Tyler Hunter pirouettes down the back chute. We'll take one quick look at this. My God. Tyler Hunter right along Paul Hill. And we can see Hunter just getting sucked down right in front of Hill as Hill continues on unscathed and sends Tyler Hunter into the safer barrier at the bottom of the racetrack. And while we get ourselves gathered up here, we're going to step aside one more time here and pay some bills on Sim Racing Media. I'm Dave Regal, he's Alan Bergen, and this is Sunday Night NASCAR.
Preen Garden Weed Preventer, and Preen Garden Weed Preventer Plus Plant Food block weeds before they start and are safe for use around over 400 flowers, vegetables, trees, and shrubs. Best of all, they give you 3 months of freedom from weeding in just 4 easy steps. You can apply Preen anytime before or during the growing season. But since it's a weed preventer, not a weed killer, early spring is best. Here's how. Start by removing existing weeds and their roots in the area where you want to apply Preen. Sprinkle granules directly onto dry soil, mulch, or stone so that they're evenly spaced. Within 24 hours of applying, integrate the granules into the top layer of soil or mulch or stone-covered bed. Finally, water with a hose or sprinkler or a well-timed soaking rain to activate the protective weed barrier. When activated, Preen creates an invisible weed-fighting barrier just below the soil surface that targets and prevents weed seeds from sprouting and forming roots. People and pets may enter the treated area once dusts have settled and the area is thoroughly dry from watering or first rain. That's it. Now you'll have a beautiful weed-free space and 3 months to do anything but weeding. Satisfaction guaranteed. Trusted for over 50 years, Preen is America's #1 weed preventer brand with weed preventers for every type of garden.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Welcome back to Pocono Raceway. We are in the final stage of the Pocono 400 here on the Stacy Strong Cup Series live on Sim Racing Media. Dave Regal and Alan Bergen with you tonight here in the Tony Trapassa Memorial Broadcast booth. Matt Metler is off on assignment tonight. Neil Pearson, the modern-day Silver Fox, is leading this race, but Rich Jett in the double natural is really fighting his way up through here.
Yeah, there is Rich Jett in that double natural, side by side with Sean Rogers. And we're going to have some fun now as we're 55 laps away from the end of this race. And, you know, it's been a while for races. These guys are single file out. We're going to turn that intensity up by 11 now.
Bennett Allen just laid fast time yet again at 53.81 seconds. He keeps getting faster and faster, and everybody else around him is just kind of watching. The interesting thing with Bennett Allen is if you just so much as nudge him, he will hold that grudge until he makes the score even.
Yeah, and right now these guys are minding their own P's and Q's, and essentially just running their own race right now. These guys are separating Paul Hill by at least a second and a half.
Yeah, Bennett Allen is chasing down Neil Pearson as we speak. And I mean, you know, Bennett's not going to hold off as he almost gives a rub to the wall. He's able to use every inch of this asphalt tonight, and he is really chomping at the bit to get up here at Neil Pearson with 55 laps to go.
Yeah, 55 laps to go, and, well, Bennett's definitely in it now.
Riding along with Seba Cornez here on the inside of Mike McConville in a battle for 13th position. Seba right now, if you look, he's just barely holding on to that as McConville tried the high side. That didn't work out. Now McConville tries the low side and now comes right at his rear bumper trying to catch a little bit of draft here coming down the front stretch. And this is where you can really get these cars wound up to crazy as you get ready to haul it down into turn one.
Yes, as we're on board with Seba Cornez, and that is the, look, that's the MasterCard car. But here comes that one car of Mike McConville.
McConville giving him a bump drift down the Long Pond straightaway.
Yikes. Bump drifting at Pocono. Who would have thunk it?
Things that you thought, huh. So here we are now. Now, a couple of weeks ago, you decided to go ahead and make good on our bet that you would drink a Yingling lager, or well, a Yingling beer when we hit 4,000 subscribers. I have to go get myself a Budweiser and do the same thing. But and I literally, buddy, I keep forgetting. It's not that I don't care, but quite frankly, it's not high enough on my priority list to remember. However, here we are in the rolling hills of the Pocono Mountains. We're just to the east of... Whoa! What is that? As Kavaja Holt is now sitting helplessly here on the backstretch, as he and Ken Ron may have just crossed paths with one another in a not-so-friendly way. Let's see what happened with Kavaja and how he suddenly wound up driving what looks like a modified. Oh, no, he got loose. He went sideways, and Ken Ron had no place to go. There were cars to the left of him, cars to the right. Here he was, stuck in the middle with Kavaja Holt.
Yikes.
The front of the 33 of Ken Ron, all kinds of ripped up here. We'll see if we can ride on board with him on the nose cam. Here he goes, minding his business and leaving everybody else's alone as Ken Ron. And I feel like I see that so much here. And he goes down, he follows Seba, and Seba goes high, and Ken goes low and just cannot clear it.
Ouch.
You think?
Ouch.
Ninth caution. Hey, look, there's Chris Claude. Chris Claude's already up into 33rd position after passing the drivers who, well, not passing them per se, but getting past the drivers who are out of this race. Chris, of course, earlier in the broadcast booth mentioned to us that he was having a problem with iRacing itself, and this would be the result, a 37th position run. So if he can get himself, I don't know, about 53 more cautions, and by then yours truly would shut the microphone off and walk out the front door. Go see if I can play in traffic and have better time.
I don't think 53 cautions is even plausible. Right now, Neil Pearson is coming down pit road. And so is a ton of other cars.
Yeah, it looks like Bennett Allen, Nolan Hodgson, Sean Rogers, and basically your top 8, they all stay out. Your top 7 all stayed out. But Tyler Hunter and Alex Princeton, they came down on lap 100. Then Neil Pearson and everybody from basically 10th way back to 26, where John Wilco resides, came down pit road. In fact, you know, it always breaks my heart when I can't get a hold of John Wilco because I'd love to harass him. And he's never in Discord. So John Wilco, if you have the broadcast running in the background, get into Discord.
We'd love to have a chat with you.
I mean, the man's from McAdoo. It's a happening town, all 2 blocks of it. McAdoo is about 35 minutes west of this racetrack, and it's not the end of the world, but you can see it from there.
Yikes.
Go ahead and look up McAdoo, Pennsylvania on Google Maps. You'll thank me later. I know the fire chief and his brother there. They helped me in rescuing 7-time Grammy-winning polka artist Jimmy Sturr a couple of weeks ago. Jimmy Sturr, of course, from Chester, New York, performed at the Lakeside Ballroom for the 50th anniversary of Polka Joe for 105.5 WMGH. I had a chance to literally ride with him back from Scranton as his bus broke down on the way to the venue. And I couldn't help but feel like, you know, it was Home Alone, and all of a sudden I had the Kenosha Kickers with me. Vuji Polka, a.k.a. Kiss Me Polka. But, of course, everybody should have a favorite polka song. Mine, of course, is the Clarinet Polka, performed by Myron Florin on the accordion. Highly recommend that should be a banger to get your Monday started tomorrow.
McAdoo, Pennsylvania, 12 hours away.
Nobody asked you how far of a drive it was.
Off of I-81.
It is suburban Hazleton. Another town where I'm friends with the fire chief. Actually, the fire chief in Hazleton is the brother of the fire chief from McAdoo. And the McAdoo Fire Company has some amazing food. When they do a fundraiser, back when I was a service tech on the road, if I knew McAdoo was doing a fundraiser for the fire company, I made sure that the schedule dragged me up through McAdoo. It's terrible. You know, as much as, you know, I love and support the fire service where I've spent my entire life, you know, there are certain fire companies and fire districts and areas where when I know that they're doing a fundraiser, I make a point to get there because the food is just that good. Like the Blini sale in Ryan Township on Route 54. You can't miss the Blini sale. That's a Polish thing. Most of it's Polish food. I love Polish food. Not even Polish.
I hope not.
I mean, it could explain some of my problems.
Well, I tell you, the inside line did not go in Nolan Hodgson has a problem there taking off. It's Bennett Allen's going to plot this early lead as we come back to green here on lap 112. And it brings the field down to turn number 1. Nolan Hodgson riding in second position. Sean Rogers should be coming into your frame just here in a minute. And there's Nolan Hodgson and Rich Jett there in the doubles natural. Here's Bennett Allen. All to a sizable lead right now. through turn 3. And here comes Bennett Allen. He is definitely in the lead. Bennett is definitely in it. Sean Rogers finds his way up to 3rd. So
as
right
I
now,
slide back in here, take a look here at Sean Rogers holding off Eric Papineau as he and Rich Jett in the double natural work on 113 coming into turn number 2. And as they come into turn 2 and roll it, Rogers holding his own underneath Rich Jett in the double natural. The 44 and the 77 added on the short stretch going into turn 3.
Yeah, here we go. Sean Rogers, Rich Jett, the double natural versus the 44. And there's that Indy snake that we see all too well. It's Bennett Allen weaving and bobbing and weaving down that front straightaway.
Sean Rogers in the 44 holding his own for the time being as he's side by side. We widen things out to the blimp view because just behind here, Tyler Hunter sliding in single file behind Neil Pearson as they are still battling it out here, trying to decide who's going to run in P3 for the time being here on lap 114. Meanwhile, Neil Pearson in the 58, we're going to go on board with him as he is now chasing down Eric Papineau in the 17 as Pearson's starting to make that recovery here on those older tires just ahead of Tanner Marty. And we go on board with Marty now. He can see Papineau here to the inside of Pearson, but Papineau with another connection issue blinking out. That's going to force him to try to stay low and out of the way to keep himself away from the other drivers. That, that, as we had mentioned earlier in this race, is very unsettling for a driver on the racetrack.
Yeah, and, as Tanner Marty there rides in that, 7th spot behind Eric Papineau, you don't know exactly if he's really in 7th, or, if Eric Papineau is really in 6th, or where he's at on the racetrack, so you really have to be situational aware as these guys battle around Eric Papineau. And tough on Eric Papineau because he's got those connection issues going on. He's trying to make laps and hold off Tanner Marty there in that 29 car.
Tanner Marty in the 29 being pushed down the front stretch by Tyler Hunter as they come into 1. It looks like Hunter's going to have to back off and Marty swings out wide. Alex Princeton, meanwhile, here in the 19, he runs just ahead of Matt Long. Things a lot different looking here in the later part of this race, but in the early part of stage 3 as we've got 45 laps to go now. We're about 15 to 20 laps away from green flag pit stops if they come. The question is, when do those pit stops happen? I know we tried to kind of bait Nolan Hodgson into telling us what his strategy was. He didn't take the bait, and he runs up here P2 just behind Bennett Allen. The question becomes, where's it going to be, and when is it going to be? Daniel Moynihan saying the 53 is a pretty good number. I don't know if the 53 is available here in the Cup Series, but if it is, I would be more than proud to sport that number on the car when I come back to the racetrack on August 25th.
I would so be all in on the 53 car.
Yeah, I could go with that. I'd be all right with it. 5 and 3. I'm not into numerology, but 5 and 3 is 8, so I could do that.
There you go.
Moynihan apparently has nothing to do tonight as he's tuning in to hang out with the two of us. As Matt Long works alongside Tanner Marty now, and now gets around Marty for 9th position and puts his sights on Cody McCorkle. McCorkle gets loose, and that opens the door for Long to get in here and slam it shut as he steps into the room to try to take away 8th position now as he muscles his way past Cody McCorkle down the front stretch and into turn 1. And Matt Long is all of a sudden marching toward the front of this line. He looks like Sherman on his way to the sea.
Oh.
Listen, that's the Jaws music is what Bob Nestor used to start saying to me in the Discord when he would be around me, because I could be around anybody on this racetrack, but as soon as Bob Nestor would get around me, it's like I forgot where my hands were, and I would wreck.
What does he do with his hands?
I don't know what. It's like I don't know what to do with my hands. All of a sudden, Bob's near me, and I wreck. He'll tell you. If he's watching tonight, he will tell you. Bob, if you're not watching tonight, what you doing? Why aren't you watching?
Well, Daniel Moynihan just checked in and said he's got COVID currently.
Speaking of which, Bob getting ready to celebrate a milestone birthday coming up in the next couple of weeks. A big shout out to the Bobster. As Bennett Allen hauling the mail, I can't tell you how old he is. I'm not allowed to. I'm actually sworn to secrecy by 3 levels of government officials.
You don't have that much clearance.
Oh, no, I know the information. You don't have enough clearance is what it is.
The low man on the totem pole, right?
I mean, I felt pretty honored to be invited to the party. As all of a sudden, Seba Cornez here getting ready to serve lunch to the 71. That's Keith Long in that black Ford Mustang. And that dark horse is cranked up to crazy as Seba's trying to get his Toyota Camry around him. And he just can't seem to get around the long design build. Here he goes, getting around.
What's up with everybody in the dark, the black on gray paints here tonight?
You can have a race car in any color as long as it's black.
I mean, yellow is fast. It's fast color, yellow.
It's true. Unless you're driving the 88 of Michael Witt, who's mired back here in 20th position.
Well, thoughts and prayers go out to Dan Moynihan as he works through the issues with COVID-19, and remember 6 feet away from the nearest person, and lots of fluid, and well, you know, when my wife had COVID for like 3 bouts of it, I what's the word called? Where you separate for a little bit. Oh, I'm having a brain fart. Anyways, I was down here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Studio. She was up in our bedroom. And that's where we sheltered in place. Yes, that's where we isolated at.
To be fair, she was probably glad to have you isolated somewhere else in the house.
Probably.
Dan Moynihan announcing that the 53 isn't available in the Xfinity Series. That's fine. I'll be racing the Cup Series.
But right now, the 59 of Seba Cornez working his way around Michael Witt there in that number 59 car. And there is the 19 car, Alex Princeton. And here we go. A little over 37 laps to go in this one here. I don't think red's the fastest color.
That's what Dan Moynihan says. I'm pretty sure
it
is. If you have a red car, I think your insurance goes up.
I think
that's no word of a lie.
Well, here in Missouri, our insurance goes up. Our insurance race is based on a median.
Yeah, whether or not you hit the median. Here's Sean Rogers. Rogers chasing down Nolan Hodgson as Hodgson drafting up right to the rear bumper of Neil Hodgson. We're going to have a 4-way battle for the lead coming down to it. Maybe a five-way battle if Rich Jet really gets involved here. The Schwanksville, Pennsylvania native just behind this battle up front. He's currently kind of drafting behind both the 44 and the 12. He's got a really good position right now. Schwanksville just a quick drive away from my place here just outside of Philadelphia. As Rich Jet able to take the middle line, he gets to borrow some of the air off the back of Rogers in the 44. As Rogers looks to make it 3 wide, and he splits the difference between Bennett Allen and Nolan Hodgson. And Sean Rogers just splits Bennett Allen and Nolan Hodgson for P2.
Split he does, and now we got a new race. We got Neil Pearson and, it's Amanda Price. And there's our 10th caution. Michael Witt and Steve Cornell is involved.
Let's see what happened with this one. Sorry, I was chewing. God forbid I should be polite. Let's watch Michael Witt, who was a lucky dog just a few cautions ago. Oh!
Yikes.
That's not going to be fun. I almost don't want to look at this one. That was fast and ugly. Here comes Seba from behind. Seba gives a little bit of a nudge to 19, and it loosens the 19. Hey. One more time. We'll look at this from above this time. And here's Seba just behind the 19. And maybe gives him a little bit of a love tap, not square, and it loosens up the 19 just enough to cause absolute pandemonium. Make a note, Alan, that we need to make sure that at least some of our viewers here on Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series action, like Amanda Price, who is here every week with us, needs to get some of the swag when we start doing the giveaways for the 4,000 subscriber rewards.
Noted.
Apparently Dan Moynihan thinks that the 58 right now is racing like a bat out of hell. Not anymore, because we are cooling things down now with what's just less than 40 to go. In fact, 35.
Yeah, 35 laps to go, and Amanda Price says yes with a heart emoji.
That way, the next time you're up in Kalamazoo, you can find where Amanda and Sean are, because they'll have the SRM swag.
Amanda the GOAT, as Dan says.
I mean, she is here every week.
I mean, she's got perfect attendance. Look, she's here more than Matt Mettler is.
Ooh.
Shots fired.
10-13, 10-13. Tell me to stop eating the salt and vinegar chips.
Stop eating the salt and vinegar chips.
Good Lord. I love them, but they don't love me back.
No.
And I can only imagine what it looks like on the webcam. It has to look like a pig at feeding time.
That's alright.
Folks, he says that's all right, but what he really means is he was just staring there with his jaw on the desk going, and you keep eating.
I do not. Pitch.
Well, there was a burp that was stuck. It's not stuck anymore. Thank God the viewers couldn't hear that.
Well, we're lined up behind this pace car. 2x2 Noah's Ark style is Tane Hodgson, Neil Pearson, Bennett Allen, and Nolan Hodgson are all up there in the top 4. And this is a new race as we get ready to come back to green. iRacing.com pace car lights are out. And we are going to have also a whole lot of fun here as we come back to the green flag racing action from the Pocono Raceway. Here with the SNN Cup Series, the Stacy Strong Cup Series. And we're getting ready to come back to the green as they make their way through the tumble turn. Down that short back straightaway. Hodgson, Neil, your front row. And this might be the restart that, you know, Hodgson and Bennett Allen needs. They're going to have to get by, and you know, Neil Pearson's going to have to make that car, and even Tane Hodgson's going to have to make that car 5 wide as the iRacing.com pace car gets ready to make that hard left-handed turn, getting on the pit road. Hodgson, Neil Pearson through the Geico restart zone. 3, 2, 1. We are down to racing. What a start that Tane got, and he's going to bring Bennett Allen right with him.
Bennett Allen going to follow Tane Hodgson down the front stretch as Neil Pearson comes along in tow. We look ahead here as Pearson now going to try to, slice himself right underneath Tane Hodgson. That was a dangerous move as he took, easy there, big fella. Neil Pearson now hemorrhaging spots, now running back in 15th. He gets loose coming out of turn 1 on those cold tires, gets bit by the cold tire bug. And look who it is running in P3. It's Sean Rogers out of Kalamazoo, Michigan, now chasing down Tane Hodgson for P2.
Sean Rogers, P2, Tane Hodgson. And that number 93 car in hot pursuit. They're all in hot pursuit of Bennett Allen here as we come down for lap 129.
I'll tell you what, if I was Tane Hodgson, I wouldn't want to see Sean Rogers in the rearview mirror like this. Because right now, Sean Rogers is a man on a mission here on lap number 129. 32 to go. 31 this time by at the line as now Rogers has to cede away a position and muscle this one out alongside of Matt Long. As we go up here to Matt Long, we can see him trying to chase down Sean Rogers, and he's got a hold of his ankles. And I'll tell you what, Sean Rogers has got to figure out a way to wiggle off of the front bumper of Matt Long.
Yeah, right now, Matt Long is right there in that 4th position. And this is where time's going to start to run out as we have 31 laps to go here from Long Pond, Pennsylvania in the Pocono Raceway. Lap 130 is now started. And we are going to have a lot of fun right now as these guys they're just designed to ride around, you know, no one's really making any dangerous moves.
No dangerous moves yet, but here comes Nolan Hodgson running up in the 12 car, and Nolan working just inside of Bobby Anderson. Anderson running in 5th position right now as these two drivers, this is almost what they've been waiting for all night long. And if you start to watch, these guys have now gone single file. That means that they know that they've got to start to match the pace of the driver in front of them and start to not really pass them as much as wear them out. You've got to find where that open door is, and here he comes again. Matt Long working the inside of Sean Rogers as Rogers is just behind Tane Hodgson. Hodgson's going to take the opportunity and get as far away as he scurries up the racetrack with Bennett Allen. Of course, your 2022 MNN Xfinity Series champion. And I'll tell you what, you know, as these guys go at it tonight, Matt Long is showing us why he's got 3 wins on the season and is charging forward in our point standings.
Yeah, here it comes. Bennett Allen leading this, but doling out there in that 4th or that 5th position. The Candyman, Bobby Anderson. I say the Candyman because why? He is running at M&M's paint scheme.
Mike McConville duking it out right now with Rich Jett in the 77. They're now behind Paul Hill. This is a battle for 7th position, or for 8th position, I'm sorry, as Paul Hill starts to run away now from McConville and now McCorkle, as the 77 of Jett and the 1 of McConville are nose to tail coming here into turn number 1. We see the Candyman that you were just talking about, Alan, and I'll tell you what, man, I mean, he has been quietly crawling his way back up through the ranks tonight. I know that he's had a rough night, but, you know, he has been getting up here as hard as he can. He qualified, well, he started 35th after not qualifying and has picked his way through the traffic to get up here into the top 5.
Yeah, now he's working underneath Kane Hodgson. Great, Nolan Hodges with him, the Candyman. Bobby Anderson working the inside. He's going to make a move, and he's going to get 4th place away from that 93 car. Here comes Paul Hill trying to make a run with him.
Hodgson secures 4th position. Whoa! Sliding right in front of Bobby Anderson. What a move he made. And I got to be honest, if I was that man's insurance adjuster, I'd be reconsidering that premium payment.
Well, here we go. We're going to have some fun now as Bobby Anderson working right underneath Kane Hodgson. They're in that number 93 car. Here comes the 12 car, Nolan Hodgson, and he's trying to bring Paul Hill along with him.
He'll get him yet as we work here on lap 133. Bobby Anderson now underneath Kane Hodgson being pushed along by Nolan Hodgson out of Lamar's, Iowa. All of a sudden a 3-way battle now for 4th position, and Bobby Anderson is under assault and pepper shaker between Nolan Hodgson and Tane Hodgson.
Oh man, here comes Bobby Anderson. Tane Hodgson looking to the inside here at turn number 1. 3 cars are better than 1, and they're going to slide up back in line. And Dave, I got to tell you this right now. Pocono Raceway has had a few first-time winners.
There's a lot of drivers who have a lot of luck here at this racetrack, and quite frankly, man, it's something that I'm always excited to see because this racetrack is so different. It's not like your super speedways where it's kind of a wild card race. This racetrack is one of those places where once you have it, you have it. You know, and quite frankly, even as Sean Rogers just laid his fastest lap of the race down at 53.85, he's got to hold off some really strong drivers in Anderson and Hodgson. But, I mean, those drivers, even so, they only bested at 53.76, 91, and 84. You know, we're still looking at a crazy long amount of time here with 25 to go.
Yeah, 25 to go is really like 35 if you put it in that perspective with the length of the racetrack. And these guys are going to keep these Mustangs and Camaros and Camrys turned up to crazy.
Mustangs, Camaros, and Camrys, oh my!
And nothing wrong with that.
Not at all as we work here on lap 135. As you had mentioned, you know, those 25 laps are going to feel more like 35 laps. God forbid we should have that C word come out. As Matt Long gets down onto the pate of the front stretch and now is trying to get Bennett Allen. It's almost like he's got goo on his shoe and he's trying to get it off by shaking it. And Bennett Allen not having any of that as they haul it into turn number 1 here at Pocono Raceway. Dave Regal and Alan Bergen with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. I want to thank every one of you for tuning into the Stacy Strong Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series. Of course, our Stacy Strong Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series is named for Stacy Tarnowski and sponsored by Tricia's Hope. And Tricia's Hope believes in health care and support for all persons. Their mission is to provide emotional and financial support to cancer patients in treatment. Tricia's Hope holds a special place in our hearts here at Sim Racing Media and in the Sunday Night NASCAR Family of Racing Series, as they have been a part of the supporting framework around Brian Tarnowski and his late wife Stacy, for whom this league is named. They have been with Brian and Stacy throughout their journey and now beyond. And to support Trisha's Hope, please visit trishashope.com/give-help today, because tomorrow might not be soon enough. And we cannot be more thankful for the support that we get from Trisha's Hope and Brian Tarnowski. And, of course, his wife Stacy was a longtime viewer of these races here on Sim Racing Media. And, I still think of her every week when I slide into the booth. And, I think of the fact that this is why we're here, and we're here to build community on iRacing. And the other thing that we're here to do is watch some incredible racing, as now Bobby Anderson has muscled his way past Bennett Allen. Here on lap 137, Matt Long leads the way out of Atlanta, Georgia, and has now decided he wants to be the Pied Piper of Pocono, leading Sean Rogers out of Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Yeah, here we go. Sean Rogers hot on his tail. Here comes Bobby Anderson, known as the Candyman, starting tonight in that M&M's sponsored number 18. Wow.
Nolan Hodgson melting like a snow cone in Phoenix as he now slides back into 7th position. And, I said it earlier, and maybe I spoke too soon earlier, but earlier it looked like Nolan Hodgson had burned it all up. And it turned out that he wasn't backing off. He was reloading. And I'm curious to see if that's the same move that he's pulling right now as he drafts behind Tate Hodgson.
Yeah, here we go. Matt Long, Sean Rogers, Bobby Anderson, and Bennett Allen. That is your top 4 right now. We need to even go back to Paul Hill there and make it your top 5. As the sands and hourglass are starting to run thin here for the top 5, and they are trying to chase down Matt Long there in that number 97 car.
It's been an incredible run all evening long for these drivers in the top 6, but Matt Long, after qualifying in 6th position, and Bobby Anderson, after qualifying in 35th, are the biggest movers right now in the top 6. Nolan Hodgson qualified in 30, runs 6th right now, and we might see him throughout the end of this race start to crawl his way back up through the standings one at a time, with 21 to go here at the line.
Oh boy, we're gonna have some kind of fun here as these guys are pulling the Andy Snake once again. Bennett Allen taking a look. He's gonna make a move, try to get a 2-for-1 special on Sean Rogers and Bobby Anderson.
Bobby Anderson now running in 3rd position behind Sean Rogers, and these are the names that we always seem to be calling toward the end of these races. Matt Long, Sean Rogers, and Bobby Anderson lead the way with Paul Hill and Bennett Allen in tow. Nolan Hodgson creeping just outside the top 5. He's looking for a way in, as now Bennett Allen and Nolan Hodgson are going to be knotted up. And you got to be careful. You can go knotted up, but if you go wadded up, you're going to be on pit road.
You will win the race to the beer stand for sure. But here we go. Nolan Hodgson looking to make a move. Here's Tate Hodgson making a move on Bennett Allen, who finds himself back in the 6th position. Here comes Nolan Hodgson. 3 wide. Oh boy. Paul Hill's going to have to run on the outside, as he is going to be falling back in line behind Sean Rogers in that 44 car. And Katie Coppola checking in also with Amanda Price, cheering on Sean Rogers in that number 44 car. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that Sean Rogers pull this off too, as he is a quarter of a second behind Matt Long in that number 97 car.
Nolan Hodgson now behind Paul Hill, and Sean Rogers starting to lose a little bit of ground here on Matt Long as we work with 19 laps to go. As you had mentioned, Amanda Price in the YouTube.com live chat. Kenny Coppola checking in saying, "You got this, Rogers, let's go." Amanda Price saying, "Come on, Sean." And I'll tell you what, we're watching this race unfold in fine fashion as we're finally getting a little bit of clarity here on what's happening. And here he comes for the lead, Sean Rogers getting around Matt Long. Side by side they are, going wheel to wheel, coming out of turn number 2 down that short stretch as they come back toward the flat turn here onto the front stretch. Sean Rogers, your new race leader, with 18 laps to go.
18 to go here from Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. And this one's going to be a barn burner for the next 17 laps. As we got Hill right there in third. Long. Sean Rogers there, drag racing down that long back straightaway, John Force style.
I wouldn't use the John Force reference right now, pal. He does a great impression of a hot dog. Ooh, Loose gets Matt Long, and he dips back into 5th position. That's going to leave Sean Rogers all alone up here. And let's go on board now with Nolan Hodgson, as Nolan going to be the lone driver up here, able to take on Sean Rogers. He swings it out to the wall, and he's going to have to catch the draft of Sean Rogers.
17 laps to go here. Sean Rogers, your race leader. Nolan Hodgson in second. Paul Hill rounding out your podium. So hard to race to end right now. Amanda Price saying let's go in all caps and explanation points. Amanda Price trying to wheel that car to victory with Sean Rogers behind the wheel.
Matt Rogers on the recovery drive now getting past Tane Hodison for P5. He is driving like a man on a mission, who's now getting to the inside of Bennett Allen. You almost have to wonder if Bennett Allen's going to put up much of a fight here, or if he knows that Matt Long's got the faster car. Bennett Allen having to look out the rearview mirror and see all of this dark horse Mustang behind him, as he looks back to Matt Long out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, is Bennett Allen, our 2022 M&N Xfinity Series champion. As we work our way here with 16 laps to go, we've got to wonder who's going to give a little bit more.
Wow, we had a weeble wobble moment going on there with Bennett Allen and Matt Long going into turn number 2, which would be the tunnel turn. Looking to the outside.
They come out of the tunnel turn and onto the short stretch back toward turn number 3. And Matt Long is driving like a man on a mission. This is an angry hornet's nest, as it looks like just a knot full of cars, as now Bennett Allen and Matt Long side by side down the front stretch, drag racing their way toward turn number 1. Matt Long having to slide in, whoa, just in front of Tane Hodison, catching a little bit of Tane's bumper here. And now all of a sudden Matt Long has saved just enough of this car for the recovery drive, here with now 15 laps to go.
15 laps to go. We head down the Long Pond straightaway. Matt Long looking to the inside. Needs a little help from his friends. And that could come with Mike McConville, but they're going to slide back in line for the double turn. Down to the short stretch.
Right now, this is turning into Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, as Sean Rogers with a commanding lead over Nolan Hodgson, 0.2 of a second now. And he looks to try to score more here with 15 laps left.
Here we come, coming down to get 14 to go. This is Sean Rogers. And here comes Nolan Hodgson. They're going to do the Indy Snake going into turn number 1. Hodgson looking to the inside. Paul Hill looking to make it 3 wide. Here comes Bennett, who's trying to be in it. Matt Long to his inside. Here comes Paul Hill looking to make a move. Try and think about the 2-for-1 special he's trying to get. Nope. Gonna think better of it. He can make that corner. Here we are into that long turn 3, the long, never-ending corner. Oof. These guys are about a half a lane off of the outside wall. And Sean Rogers once again still leading this piece into turn number 1.
Nolan Hodgson running in P3 with Sean Rogers now under assault from Paul Hill. Paul Hill looks to the inside now of Sean Rogers, but he can't make it go. Nolan Hodgson knows that he's got to be able to help out Sean Rogers as they work down the backstretch here into the tunnel turn, and that's turn 2. As right now it goes Rogers, Hodgson, and Hill. RHH, I can see the law firm logo already, RHH, as they dive down here with 13 laps to go back toward the front stretch. Sean Rogers trying to hold off Nolan Hodgson, but the battle is raging almost everywhere else through this pack as Neil Pearson, the 58, trying to claw his way back up here to the lead. And we look here, and they are drag racing once again down the front stretch.
Here we go. Down to turn number 1, Hodgson looking to take the inside line from Sean Rogers and get the run coming off the turn 1 down that long pond back straightaway. But Sean Rogers is not going down without a fight.
No, that's
Here
for
we
sure.
go.
He's got his hands full right now, Alan.
Oh boy. Here comes Paul Hill looking to get to the mix. Paul Hill still working on a 2-for-1 special.
I'll tell you what, Paul Hill looked like he was about to give a shot to the 12.
I think he had to think better of it and back out of it.
I'd say that's pretty accurate here as we widen things out to the drone cam. And, of course, there we go. And there we are again. Cars bumping and banging coming down the front stretch. Peeking out again as Paul Hill with a dive into turn number 1. It's going to cause Rogers to have to get back into the throttle earlier, go higher on the racetrack, and use as much speed as he can. With 11 laps to go, Sean Rogers holding off Paul Hill and Nolan Hodgson. These are the heavyweights in the SNN League. These are the heavyweights in the Cup Series, and these drivers are not going to be put to bed early tonight on Sunday Night NASCAR. Dave Regal and Alan Bergen with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial broadcast booth. Sean Rogers leads the way over Paul Hill and Bennett Allen now, as Allen is doing battle side by side with Nolan Hodgson. They can almost wave at each other through the window net here at these speeds, and we take a look at the, whoa, shooting out of line. My God, careful, as they're 184 going 185, 6, 7, 8, 90, coming down the front stretch, nearly 200 miles per hour going into turn 1.
Yeah, and you can see Paul Hill using fourth gear through turn number 1. And, we're 3 wide coming down the long pond back straightaway, or we were, with 10 laps to go. Paul Hill, Sean Rogers, 1-2. Here comes Bennett trying to be in it.
Bennett is
buddy.
trying to be in it, but right now he's got to try to get away from Nolan Hodgson and Neil Pearson. And Nolan has now slid back into 7th position yet again, as he has 10 laps to make another run at this lead. But Sean Rogers, I mean, this looks like a lot of fun from up here in the broadcast booth, but he has his hands full of Paul Hill's Ford Mustang.
Nerve-wracking. Absolutely nerve-wracking with 9 laps to go. Bennett Allen kind of was distant third, but not really. Sean Rogers and Paul Hill. Paul Hill's going to make the move for the lead, and he might not clear him.
Still can't clear him, and now coming behind Sean Rogers on the high side is Neil Pearson with a little bit of help, and that may be all that Rogers needs. Whoa! Nearly smoking off that left rear coming through turn 2.
Here we go. And Neil Pearson back in the mix. Here comes Bennett Allen. And you can even throw in Matt Long in there. Look, the top 5 has not changed all race long, really. There's been some comers and goers most of the night, but it's really been the same host of characters all night long, if you think about it.
Well, Neil Pearson was just shoveling Sean Rogers down the front stretch as he is now wheel to wheel with Paul Hill. And there is not even enough room for a piece of paper between some of these cars as they go wrecking behind him.
We got a kerfuffle.
Oh, my. That's going to be Cody McCorkle as they try to recover here on the backstretch. Oh, no. McCorkle and Tyler Hunter perhaps being involved in this one. Let's take a look from high above if we can. Here comes McCorkle in the 78 just ahead of Brian Tarnowski. There's Hunter in the 69, and McCorkle, the 69 gets loose, bumps into the 78, and lucky driver of the evening is Brian Tarnowski as he just squirted through there. Let's take one look here from Tarnowski's perspective. We can see McCorkle dropping down in front of him. He checks up, keeps himself out of the line of fire. Now watch Hunter. Now McCorkle gets loose, but Hunter gets looser, and Tarnowski just literally squirted through there. I'd say Stacy was riding with Brian tonight.
You're not wrong about that one. As Brian Tarnowski was driving through, to put a little hawk to on that car to get through there.
That's definitely what it takes to slide through. Now with 7 laps to go, if you have fresh tires down in pit road, if you still have an unused set that you've kept in your back pocket, do you come down? That's the question that all of these drivers are now asking themselves. If they have the extra set, do they want to come down?
I'm doing what the leader does. If Bennett Allen stays out, I'm staying out. If Bennett Allen comes down pit road, I'm coming down pit road.
As they follow the iRacing.com pace car through turn number 3, you have to start to wonder to yourself, what are you going to do now? Sean Rogers makes like he's going to come down pit road, and he prepares to. And nope, just kidding. Sean Rogers just deked the entire field. That leaves he, Hill, and Long all alone up here in the top 3.
What did we just see?
Got me again. That's what we just saw.
That would be your 7th and final sets of tires that you would have burned up. Dave, you would have absolutely short-circuited on the radio. That happened to you for a 3rd time tonight.
Yeah, but I would have deserved it because it would have been my ill-preparedness to come into the caution flag with 6 laps to go. Going to be 4 to go when we come back, green flag racing. And when we come back, we will see the finale here at Pocono Raceway. I'm Dave Regal, he's Alan Bergen, and this is Sunday Night NASCAR.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Welcome back to Pocono Raceway, where we're ready for the finale here in Sunday Night NASCAR's race at Pocono. We've got 155 laps in the books. We're working our way toward lap 160 with 5 to go. It'll be 4 to go when the green flag flies this time by. Sean Rogers, Paul Hill, and Tane Hodison sit your top 3. They would be on the podium if the checkered flag flew right now. But Alan, as you and I know, 4 laps is an eternity here at Pocono.
Yeah, as the iRacing.com pace car gets ready to bring this field down to the green flag, you're going to have Sean Rogers, Paul Hill on the front row as the iRacing.com pace car makes that hard left turn. And 3, 2, 1. Rogers tilted into the Geico restart zone. They'll want to pass Sean Rogers too quickly. And Sean Rogers gets the jump of a lifetime. And that inside line did not take off like they thought it would.
No, the inside line kind of dragged their heels a little bit here, but you got to remember that everybody from 6th on back through, no, 7th on back through came down for pit service. Now, Sean Rogers is going to have to hold off Paul Hill, a strong driver, Tane Hodison, same way, and all of those fresh tire drivers that right now are led by Nolan Hodgson. All of a sudden, Paul Hill is shoving Sean Rogers down the backstretch and into turn 2 as we come toward the short stretch here toward 3.
Well, now we're going to slice and dice, and here comes Tane Hodison looking to the inside. Here comes Paul Hill looking to the inside. And all Sean Rogers has to do is protect. Paul Hill looking to make a move. And contact.
Contact from the left rear of Rogers as he basically just kind of gave him a little wiggle to get away from him. 3 laps to go here as Tane Hodison now looks to the inside of Paul Hill. We come into turn 1, and they are hauling the mail with 3 laps to go. Contact between the 93 and the 6.
Yeah, the 93 car, that's Tane Hodison giving the hip check to Paul Hill and sending Paul Hill back to 3rd. Here comes Matt Long looking on the inside of that 12 car of Nolan Hodgson.
Nolan Hodgson, wow, Paul Hill just shoved the 93 up the hill.
3 wide.
Oh, my. All of a sudden, Sean Rogers able to get a half-second lead over Paul Hill as he's been holding off literally the rest of the field. They're 3 wide behind him. The 74 of Chris Davis, the meat in this sandwich. We come back to the start-finish line. The popsicle sticks go in the air. We're 2 laps to go.
2 laps to go.
I'll have to forgive my allergenic partner there as he sneezed through the microphone and onto the screen. Nolan Hodgson just climbed his way up here into 3rd. He's going to strap on the hairnet and serve lunch to Paul Hill. Nolan Hodgson not going to be satisfied with P2 as he now scampers behind Sean Rogers with 2 laps to go into turn 2 as they go over top of the tunnel turn. This is for all the marbles as Nolan Hodgson trying to hold it together behind Sean Rogers. Rogers, though, he looks out the rearview mirror, and all he can see is that corn machine of Nolan Hodgson. And Hodgson going to challenge him for the lead as they come back to the start-finish line. The white flag is in the air. The popsicle sticks go down, and we're racing back to checkers. Nolan Hodgson steals the lead away from Sean Rogers, and they are door handle to door handle going into turn number 1. This has been what we're waiting for all night long as Nolan Hodgson tries to hold it together over top of Sean Rogers. They are side by side coming out of one. They wreck behind them. They're racing back to the start-finish line. The flag is going to end it. Rogers rubs the wall. It opens the door for Neil Pearson coming into the tunnel turn. McConville is wrecked. There's pandemonium coming out of turn number 1 from the cold tire bug. Nolan Hodgson running away with the lead there's a 5-way battle for P2 and 3 here at Pocono. They come into turn number 3 as we widen things out. Nolan Hodgson going to collect the checkered flag, but who's it going to be on the podium with him? Neil Pearson drag races with Bennett Allen down the front stretch, and it's going to be Neil Pearson coming in 2nd, Bennett Allen in 3rd, and Nolan Hodgson picking up another win this year in the SNN Cup Series races. Oh my God, I need a Tylenol.
Bonsai Buddy going crazy here in the YouTube.com live chat, along with Callie H. all Lamar's Iowa going crazy as he gets a little up tap from Bennett Allen. Congratulatory bump on the rear end there of the race car.
Well, I've gathered myself now. They just had to administer oxygen to me. As Nolan Hodgson brings home the checkered flag here at Pocono Raceway out of Lamar's, Iowa. He comes up here into the rolling hills of Pennsylvania and finishes here in victory lane. Neil Pearson and Bennett Allen join him on the podium. What a finish, Allen.
Holy cow. And this is what Pocono's known for. This is why they're on the schedule every year. Granted, they're down to one race a year, but, still entertaining and fun for everybody involved. And, that had to been, I can imagine the praises that Nolan Hodgson's going to get along with Pearson and Bennett Allen. But John Rogers comes up just a little bit short, just missing the podium.
And with us now in the Tony Trapasso Memorial broadcast booth from Victory Lane is Nolan Hodgson. Hey, Nolan, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, they had to give me some oxygen at the end of this race here because it was a fierce and nasty-looking battle behind you. You managed to get on by Sean Rogers and steal the victory right away from the jaws of defeat tonight, but what a run, man.
Yeah, I mean, that last pit stop, that last caution that came out, I actually, Chad Sanner was the guy who came up, kind of reinforced the strategy there. I actually took 2 on the last pit stop, and I was able to, I had that couple car gap between me and Neil, which he was the first car on 4, and it was unbelievable how much faster 2 tires was in the top 7. I think with coming to 2 laps ago, Matt Long and somebody else, they had a little contact coming out of 1, and I fit into a gap that was exactly as wide as my car, so that was a risky move. Sorry, my heart's still pumping, but yeah, I mean it was crazy. I mean that whole last 100 laps or so, we were all battling like no other. It was crazy.
Your heart should still be pumping. I mean, listen, they could have used this race to check for brain activity in comatose patients, because what a finish tonight. I mean, you bring home another checkered flag here in the Cup Series, and I mean, you have just been on fire this year. I mean, the success that the 12 team has had has been something that, obviously I've gotten to see from up here in the broadcast booth, and quite frankly, second to none. And I mean, we're steaming deeper and deeper into the season, and I guess my only question becomes, there it goes. My only question becomes now with, your second win on the season, what do you do with this?
Well, I mean, with this playoff format, it gives me more playoff points to go towards that, to go towards the playoffs. I think now I should be back in the points lead, so that'll give me even more playoff points to help me through the rounds there. I was able to win a stage, so that gave me another playoff point. No, those playoff points are really important, and the more playoff points you get, the better it'll be. And that's the aim for the rest of the season. I guess Indy coming up, you got 4 turn 2s in a row, so just work through the rest of the regular season, try to get as many playoff points and as many points as I can.
Yeah, and I do realize that I misspoke, and this is your first win of the season. For some reason, I thought you already had one. But, obviously now you're totally locked in, not just on points, but on wins as well. So it's going to be a good rest of the year for you. This definitely gives you a little bit of cushion. Before we cut you loose and go celebrate that first win of the year, that, of course, here's the thing. I guess I talk to you so much during the stage breaks because you pick up so many stage points that it's almost like it escaped me. I mean, 18 top 10s on the season, 9 top 5s. I mean, that's some good numbers there. Who helps you get it done in the 12, and who do you need to shout out tonight?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, first and foremost, Elite Performance Industries, EPI, those, Donovan Strauss, he really helps me out every week, provides amazing setups. I wouldn't be able to do any of this without, his help, his teachings, and the setups that they got going on there. Grayson Payne Racing, Wood 8 Racing Media, Zero FG, all great partners of the EPI team there. I couldn't thank them enough. Chad Sander for the amazing strategy, reinforcing the strategy at the end of the race. My parents who let me do this, every weekend, and my grandparents who sometimes watch as well.
All right, man. Well, listen, congratulations on the finish tonight, on the first win of the season, and we will see you next week.
Yep, sounds good. We'll be there.
All righty. And Alan, I believe you have with you now in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, you should have Neil Pearson with you.
Neil Pearson, it's Alan and Dave up in the booth. How's it going, bud?
Very good, guys. How are you?
Well, look, it's early morning. It's early Monday morning down there in Western Perth, Australia. But here in Pocono on a Sunday night in the States, you pick up a P2 finish when you look like this is going to be your race here, and couldn't quite get done, but nonetheless had a great battle there for P2, and take us through that last lap and all the pandemonium.
Oh, that was insane race, because I had the tires and a lot of the guys up front didn't, and I knew Bennett did, so I was like trying to outmaneuver him as much as I could and still get through everyone else, and all the side drafting and the banging doors, and it was insane. It was so much fun.
So are these the sort of tracks that play into your hands from being down under, there in Australia? And do you find you excel more on the ovals versus the road courses, or the other way around?
Generally the road courses I usually run a little bit better, but the last couple of road courses I've had some bad runs, which is my own fault. I got no one else to blame, just stupid little errors and caused some bad results. But mainly I like to think of myself as an oval driver, and the car was just fantastic today. I made some changes before the start of the race, and it was just nice. And it was bad at the start of the race when it was hot, but when it cooled down, it just came to life. I think I caught back like 44 seconds, before that final caution came up on the leaders, and I was just hooked up. I haven't had a car that good ever, I don't think.
Well, look, man, before we get you out of here, is there anybody that you would like to thank before we get you out of here? And, as you get ready to enjoy lunchtime, it is 10:42 over there on a Monday morning. It's near lunchtime. Is there anybody you'd like to thank that you'd like to thank that helped you get here tonight?
Yeah, thanks for the broadcast, SNN for the series, Dirty South, just awesome teammates, really good fun. My Australian teammates, DPI Racing, just everyone tonight. Nolan for the win, Bennett for the awesome racing, and it was just a lot of fun tonight, and it was really good. Oh, and Ryko for the setups.
I gotta know something. Vegemite, are you good? Is it good? Is Vegemite your jam?
It's the worst.
All right. Well, as we get you out of here, we will see you next week in Indianapolis, and good luck to you, and great run, and we'll see you next week in Indianapolis. Dave, back to you.
Thank you, Alan and Neil. I'm glad to have Neil with us. Of course, one of our international entrants here, and I'm always glad to see him. But last but certainly not least, on the podium, my good friend Bennett Allen, 2022 Xfinity Series champion, brings it home in third tonight. Hey, Bennett, it's Dave. You got me?
I got you. You don't have to flex the championship thing so much. I heard you say it like 15 times during the broadcast.
What else am I supposed to talk about? We're at Pocono. You want me to talk about the neighborhood? It's nothing but a bunch of trees.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Valid
point.
Listen, man, you got the 15 here in third position. You were battling it out all night long up atop the pile, and finally, nothing bad happened to you.
Yeah, because I don't think he said anything really. So I
no,
appreciate that.
Maybe I should start hanging on to that Xfinity Series champion thing more often.
Maybe that. I mean, I did win the pole, so I was expecting a curse like in the beginning of the race, but maybe he did that on purpose. I don't know. But
I feel like you and Sean are the drivers that I curse the most by accident.
that's probably true. Definitely in the Cup Series.
No, I don't have any favorites in this league. Not at all.
Well, yeah, it was a fun race, man. That last 5-lap shootout, whatever it was I don't have words to describe what I went through just to get third. I thought for sure that I would have a little bit more of an opportunity on 4 tires, but I guess not. And I kind of probably ruffled some feathers like I usually do when I didn't do that all race. And I don't know. I'm going through it. Like I'm trying to figure out what I could have done differently, and I just don't think there was anything. I mean, some of those guys on old tires would side draft the crap out of you, and you just couldn't hold on to your run. And I don't know. I had fun though. That whole race was fun. When I was leading, it felt like time stood still. Because you're up front, there's nothing but you and clean air, and then you constantly looking in your mirror because somebody is drafting up on your butt. So, but I'm happy with P3. That's some progress that I've made this year alone. I've really seen it. I mean, I started off the beginning of the year a little bit rough. Started off on the wrong foot at Daytona, got suspended for a race, and that's definitely starting on the wrong foot. But I'm hoping to start burying some hatchets and starting to, really come back into my element when it comes to the next gen car, because I struggle with the next gen car a little bit. Definitely on long run, but man, that was fun. I hate the package, but yet the racing sometimes it's pretty A1 in my opinion.
I mean, the racing in this league in the first place tends to be A1. I mean, this is the part of the season, and I hate to say this, and as much as I love this league, this is usually when the people who cause the problems are already, you know what, they get out of the way and they just kind of stand off to the side. Some of them aren't even with us anymore. And instead, it leaves the cream rise to the top, and really that's what we see tonight here. As, you've got that patience with you. You decided to leave the chrome horn at home, and, nothing bad happened on the racetrack tonight. And realistically, that's all most of us can ask for.
I mean, I didn't leave the chrome. It was there. It was in my, passenger seat. But I just never had the opportunity to really use it. And I know that, trying to be a little bit more patient kind of worked out better for me. That last 5-lap run, what am I supposed to do besides start being a bang on with everybody? Because everyone's doing it to me. My biggest issue was going into 1 on the last lap. I kind of chopped someone's nose off, which I shouldn't have done that. But I'm pretty sure I was 3 wide, so I really had I didn't have much room left. And if I didn't do that, I wanted to finish 3rd. So, there's a lot to learn from this race, I think, or at least for me, as my mic bugs out. Forgive me. I don't know. We'll see what happens next week at Indy. I probably won't get that much practice in, just because NCAA 25 is coming out tomorrow, and I'll be playing that to death. So, you might not see me on iRacing this week. And for the people who race with me, you're welcome, because that's probably better than me being on racetrack. Not because I win, just because I tend to sometimes lose my head. So, but yeah, huge thanks to you guys for broadcasting. Dave, aren't you going on break here soon?
No, I will not be. I will be here at least for the next couple of weeks.
Oh, sweet. I thought you messaged something about you going on break. So.
I thought I was, and then I wasn't. It was a whole thing.
Well, glad to keep you here.
Listen, I love sitting in this seat. I like this a heck of a lot better than I like being down on the racetrack. And just keep me in mind on August 25th when I come for the Coke 0400 that I'm going to need some help out there on the racetrack to look not like a bum.
I got you. I'm a good pusher, so I don't wreck people when I push.
I get it. I get it. Well, listen, before we cut you out of here tonight, who do you need to thank and who else helps you get it done on the 15?
Huge thanks to Outlier Speed Company, man. This Cup set was on rails, and I actually got the lead laps, and I'm really thankful that I got the lead laps today. I don't get to do that often with the talent that's in this league. The funny thing was I raced NIS on Wednesday, and I thought I put in the right set, and I was like, man, I have no rear grip whatsoever. And I look at my setup after the race, I'm like, oh crap, I put in the Chicago setup from last week. And so you think that would fail tech, but no, you can race with that setup. So I'm glad that there's speed in this car today, and I got the run up front. And huge thanks as always to B-Blaze Vintage and JCTV, Josh and Bobby, man, good friends of mine. And Sparky Speedway Jewelry, new sponsor in the car. And for the people who like Smiling Friends, I hope you enjoy this car because I made it myself and I love that show a lot. Dave and Alan, if you haven't watched it, it's on HBO. It's fast paced and it's a cartoon, but it's hilarious and it's dark. So if you like dark humor, that's for you.
I dabble exclusively in it.
There you go. So give it a whirl.
I mean, I do watch the Trailer Park Boys on the regular.
Do you like fast paced animation? I mean, the episodes are like 12 minutes long max. So
Alan doesn't do a whole lot fast.
Well, I'll let y'all go, and I watched the broadcast on my second monitor, and it was really good today. And the timings of commercial breaks and the production was really, really good today. So props to you guys.
All right, brother man. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's the voice of the great Bennett Allen, driver the number 15 Ford Dark Horse Mustang. We want to thank him for his time tonight as we get him on out of here, as we want to celebrate these drivers that finished as well as they did tonight. And, Allen, what a race we had.
Oh, I told you. At first and second stage, that's just a precursor of what we saw there on the last 5 laps, as these guys were absolutely just putting on a show for all these great fans here in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. But as we get ready to wrap this up, we're going to go over our race results here tonight. And Nolan Hodgson will be picking up the win. Neil Pearson will be finishing second, with Bennett Allen rounding out your podium. Sean Rogers will be picking up the 4th place tonight, as he had a great run until he didn't. Chris Davis, Paul Hill, Timothy Cook, Larry Miles, and Matt Long and Tane Hodgson will round out your top 10. John Wilco, Mark Johnston, Steve Herring, Cody McCorkle, Michael Witt, Tanner Marty, Bobby Anderson, Keith Long, Mike McConville, and Rich Jett all will round out your top 20. Finishing 21st will be Eric Papineau, Chad Sander, Mac Matkin, Ron Dridding, Alexander Gangler, Brian Tarnowski from Waukesha, Wisconsin, Tyler Hunter, Ken Ron, and Steve Cornez will round out your top 29.
Alex Princeton comes home in 30th position with Kavaja Holt in 31st. Chris Claude, after starting very late in the race due to a software problem, he comes home in 32nd. 33rd goes to Chris Custer out of Ohio, with Adrian Michigan's Diego Rodriguez in 34th. Dalton Mobley finishes in 35th with Richard Pruitt in 36th. 37th goes to Anthony Savignano, while John Crow Sr. and Andrew Deemer, along with Ryan Samuelson, round out your 40 cars that took the green flag tonight. And it's been an incredible night here in the Stacy Strong Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series, and I cannot be more thankful to those of you who tuned in tonight to make us a part of your evening. We want to thank you for doing that every night of the week. Of course, you can come right back tomorrow at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time to watch the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series. Get it on right here in Long Pond, Pennsylvania at Pocono Raceway. So from the Tricky Triangle, I'm Dave Regal, he's Alan Bergen, and this has been a production of Sim Racing Media. We want to thank you one more time for tuning in. And tomorrow and every day as you walk down the road of life, please don't plan traffic. Good night, everybody.